you're not sure what to do with yourself, the LATTES panel is where you want to be, because you have these powerful women telling you about how they started, how they grew to get to where they are now. So please head over to the main hall where the LATTES agenda is happening right now, hosted by Tammy Badroom. Also, vendors, don't forget, this is the opportunity for you to get yourself tagged. If you have not tagged yourself, please head over to the registration point outside and get tagged for this exhibition. Thank you.
You know the bed feels warmer, sleeping here alone. You know I dream in color and do the things I want. You think you got the best of me, think you've had the last laugh, bet you think that everything good is gone. Think you left me broken down, think that I'll come running back. Baby, you don't know me 'cause you're dead wrong. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. What doesn't kill you makes a fighter. Footsteps even lighter. Doesn't mean I'm over 'cause you're gone. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, stronger. Just me, myself, and I. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. You heard that I was starting over with someone new. They told you I was moving on over you. You didn't think that I'd come back swinging. You tried to break me, but you see what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. What doesn't kill you makes a fighter. Steps even higher. Doesn't mean I'm
There is excitement when you know your future is in good hands. Move to Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers today and let us help you retire into your extraordinary future. Call 01-271-6000 or visit www.stanbicibtcpension.com for more information.
I'm really delighted to welcome you to this grand finale of Stanbic IBTC Reward for Saving Promo Season 2. And more millionaires will be made.
So that's a $1 million smile right there.
You want fame? Invest in what they call different. Turn the world downside up. Invest for more with the right partner. Invest with Stanbic IBTC Asset Management. Email assetmanagement@stanbicibtc.com to get started. Stanbic IBTC Asset Management, a member of Standard Bank Group.
Thank you, Stanbic IBTC, for giving me 2 million naira. I'm so excited, happy, and I'm grateful.
Na ba wa ƙannena da 'ya'yana shawara su buɗe banki a Stanbic ba don komai ba, don shi ne zama min garanti na daɗin rayuwa, ba na samun matsala da su, kuma ina buƙatar ma mutane da dama su buɗe account ɗinsu a Stanbic don babu matsala. babu ciwon kai, babu na je na gani a ta surutu an ce kaza an ce kaza. Gaskiya Stanbic ya burge ni.
I'm speechless. I can't say because I'm so happy. I really appreciate. I don't even know what to say. But when they see me with the money, when I snap picture and post it to my friend, when they see the money, that they will show that this is real. It's not a scam. ₦1 million by this time around. It's a big money. Stanbic IBTC Bank to the world.
I'm very happy that I won ₦1 million. Stanbic IBTC Bank. I'm so happy.
Hey, what I would tell people who are not banking with Stanbic IBTC, they should start banking with Stanbic IBTC. Since I started banking with Stanbic IBTC, everything is seamless to me. And I know to order from a couple of friends, they should keep on banking, keep on saving. One day, they're gonna be like me and be one of the millionaires Stanbic IBTC is actually helping.
Mama, Honorable Duchess of the market that keeps our belly full. Her Royal Highness, the one that turns hundreds into millions. We, your children you carried on your back, say thank you. Mama no dey sleep, no dey tire. The ever-efficient Chief Operations Officer, Bebe di Bebe, new media marketer, turning likes into credit alerts. Sweet babe, running a 9 to 5, yet still turning up for your people. Women are blooming with ideas, thriving in life and business. At Stanbic IBTC, we are cheering you on. Blue Blossom is for women who want to save, invest, and grow in life. Go Bloom with Stanbic IBTC. Stanbic IBTC.
I care for 5 good years you have been in this shop. If it is to update your WhatsApp now, you will know how to do that one very well.
Okay, I beg, no verse. Your money now 780,325 naira.
You no get person wey sabi everything for business. Market, na teacher. Trader, na students. Hand wey sabi, na hand wey learn well.
You can pay to my accountant. With our Stanbic IBTC POS, it go one time.
Business no be wetin one person fit do alone. Because market na community. E dey work well when we join hand with people wey sabi business well well.
You outdid yourself. This dress is given.
Because now who gets better hand of support go get better business. Everything for business, na kparakpo. If correct business like Stanbic IBTC SME Collab Hand, join your own with loans where you go get free business training and support. E sure say you go do big things. For Stanbic IBTC, we dey join hand with business people take grow their business. Go for growth with Stanbic IBTC for Enterprise Direct at stanbicibtc.com or call 0700 333 3333.
There is excitement when you know your future is in good hands. Move to Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers today and let us help you retire into your extraordinary future. Call 01-271-6000 or visit www.stanbicibtcpension.com for more information.
welcome you to this grand finale of Stanbic IBTC Reward for Saving Promo Season 2. And more millionaires will be made.
So that's a $1 million smile right there.
You want fame? Invest in what they call different. Turn the world downside up. Invest for more with the right partner. Invest with Stanbic IBTC Asset Management. Email assetmanagement@stanbicibtc.com to get started. Stanbic IBTC Asset Management, a member of Standard Bank Group.
Thank you, Stanbic IBTC, for giving me 2 million naira. I'm so excited, happy, and I'm grateful.
Na ba wa ƙannena da 'ya'yana shawara su buɗe banki a Stanbic ba don komai ba, don shi ne zama min garanti na daɗin rayuwa, ba na samun matsala da su, kuma ina buƙatar ma mutane da dama su buɗe account ɗinsu a Stanbic don babu matsala. Babu ciwon kai, babu na je na gani a ta surutu an ce kaza an ce kaza. Gaskiya Stanbic ya burge ni.
I'm speechless. I can't say because I'm so happy. I really appreciate. I don't even know what to say. But when they see me with the money, when I snap picture and post it to my friend, when they see the money, that they will show that this is real. It's not a scam. $1 million by this time around. It's a big money. Stanbic IBTC Bank to the world.
I'm very happy that I won 1 billion naira. Stanbic IBTC Bank. I'm so happy.
Hey, what I would tell people who are not banking with Stanbic IBTC, they should start banking with Stanbic IBTC. Since I started banking with Stanbic IBTC, everything is seamless to me. And I know to order from a couple of friends, they should keep on banking, keep on saving. One day, they're going to be like me and be one of the millionaires Stanbic IBTC is actually helping.
Mama, Honorable Duchess of the market that keeps our belly full, Her Royal Highness, the one that turns hundreds into millions. We, your children you carried on your back, say thank you. Mama no dey sleep, no dey tire. The ever-efficient Chief Operations Officer, Bebe di Bebe, new media marketer, turning likes into credit alerts. Sweet babe, running a 9 to 5, yet still turning up for your people. Women are blooming with ideas, thriving in life and business. At Stanbic IBTC, we are cheering you on. Blue Blossom is for women who want to save, invest, and grow in life. Go Bloom with Stanbic IBTC. Stanbic IBTC.
I care for 5 good years you have been in this shop. If it is to update your WhatsApp now, you will know how to do that one very well.
Okay, I beg, no verse. Your money now 780,325 naira.
You no get person wey sabi everything for business. Market na teacher, trader na student, hand wey sabi na hand wey learn well.
You can pay to my accountant. With our Stanbic IBTC POS, it go one time.
Business no be wetin one person fit do alone, because market na community. E dey work well when we join hand with people wey sabi business well well.
You outdid yourself. This dress is given.
Because now who get better hand of support go get better business. Everything for business na kparakpo. If correct business like Stanbic IBTC SME Collab Hand join your own with loans where you go get free business training and support. E sure say you go do big things. For Stanbic IBTC, we dey join hand with business people take grow their business. Go for growth with Stanbic IBTC for Enterprise Direct at stanbicibtc.com or call 0700 333 3333.
There is excitement when you know your future is in good hands. Move to Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers today and let us help you retire into your extraordinary future. Call 01-271-6000 or visit www.stanbicibtcpension.com for more information.
I'm really delighted to welcome you to this grand finale of Stanbic IBTC Reward for Saving Promo Season 2. And more millionaires will be made.
So that's a millionaire smile right there.
You want fame? Invest in what they call different. Turn the world downside up. Invest for more with the right partner. Invest with Stanbic IBTC Asset Management. Email assetmanagement@stanbicibtc.com to get started. Stanbic IBTC Asset Management, a member of Standard Bank Group.
Thank you, Stanbic IBTC, for giving me 2 million naira. I'm so excited, happy, and I'm grateful.
Na ba wa ƙannena da 'ya'yana shawara su buɗe banki a Stanbic ba don komai ba, don shi ne zama min garanti na daɗin rayuwa. Ba na samun matsala da su, kuma ina buƙatar ma mutane da dama su buɗe account ɗinsu a Stanbic don babu matsala. Babu ciwon kai, babu na je na gani a ta surutu an ce kaza an ce kaza. Gaskiya Stanbic ya burge ni.
I'm speechless. I can't say because I'm so happy. I really appreciate. I don't even know what to say. But when they see me with the money, when I snap picture and post it to my friend, when they see the money, that they will show that this is real. It's not a scam. $1 million by this time around. It's a big money. Stanbic IBTC Bank to the world.
I'm very happy that I won 1 billion naira. Stanbic IBTC Bank. I'm so happy.
Hey, what I would tell people who are not banking with Stanbic IBTC, they should start banking with Stanbic IBTC. Since I started banking with Stanbic IBTC, everything is seamless to me. And I know to order from a couple of friends, they should keep on banking, keep on saving. One day, they're going to be like me and be one of the millionaires Stanbic IBTC is actually helping.
Mama, Honorable Duchess of the market that keeps our belly full, Her Royal Highness, the one that turns hundreds into millions. We, your children you carried on your back, say thank you. Mama no dey sleep, no dey tire. The ever-efficient Chief Operations Officer, Bebe di Bebe, new media marketer, turning likes into credit alerts. Sweet babe, running a 9 to 5, yet still turning up for your people. Women are blooming with ideas, thriving in life and business. At Stanbic IBTC, we are cheering you on. Blue Blossom is for women who want to save, invest, and grow in life. Go Bloom with Stanbic IBTC. Stanbic IBTC.
IK, for 5 good years you have been in this shop. If it is to update your WhatsApp now, you will know how to do that one very well.
Okay, I beg, no verse. Your money na 780,325 naira.
You no get person wey sabi everything for business. Market na teacher, trader na student, hand wey sabi na hand wey learn well.
You can pay till accountant. With our Stanbic IBTC POS, it go one time.
Business no be wetin one person fit do alone, because market na community. E dey work well when we join hand with people wey sabi business well well.
You outdid yourself. This dress is given.
Because now who gets better hand of support go get better business. Everything for business na kparakpo. If correct business like Stanbic IBTC SME Collab Hand join your own with loans where you go get free business training and support, e sure say you go do big things. For Stanbic IBTC, we dey join hand with business people take grow their business. Go for growth with Stanbic IBTC for Enterprise Direct at stanbicibtc.com or call 0700 333 3333.
There is excitement when you know your future is in good hands. Move to Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers today and let us help you retire into your extraordinary future. Call 01-271-6000 or visit www.stanbicibtcpension.com for more information.
I'm really delighted to welcome you to this grand finale of Stanbic IBTC Reward for Saving Promo Season 2. And more millionaires will be made.
So that's a $1 million smile right there.
You want fame? Invest in what they call different. Turn the world downside up. Invest for more with the right partner. Invest with Stanbic IBTC Asset Management. Email assetmanagement@stanbicibtc.com to get started. Stanbic IBTC Asset Management, a member of Standard Bank Group.
Thank you, Stanbic IBTC, for giving me 2 million naira. I'm so
and today I'm the master of ceremonies. You know, we are here for the Bloom Weekend organized by Stanbic IBTC, right? And the event started yesterday. Let me ask you very quickly, how many people were here for the SME training yesterday? If you were here, please indicate by show of hands. And raise it high, high, high. I want to see the hands. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot very quickly. Can I get a second mic? I'm going to put you on the spot very quickly. Anybody that wants to tell me about what it was like, just describe it very briefly, the experience that we had yesterday. I can see people, please keep the hands up. Oh, I know the hands are not going down. There's somebody raising a hand here. Please raise the hand higher. Just tell me about the experience. Women are not shy. Women are very courageous. Who wants to tell us what it was like yesterday? Any hands? Okay, let me ask again. How many people were here yesterday? I can see one hand over there. All right, can we pass it? There's somebody that's raising a hand so confidently. Please, a round of applause for her. Tell us, what was it like?
It was good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Can you stand? Let's see your beautiful face now.
Thank you. Yesterday was really interesting. We learned a lot. We learned about digital marketing and sales, and we learned about the EDC, that is Enterprise Development Center. So there was Mr. Uche, he came here, he taught us a lot about things about business.
Okay.
So it was actually interesting.
Okay.
And
Don't tell us all the gist. Don't tell them if they missed it. But would you say that anybody that missed yesterday missed out?
Actually.
They missed out, Abi?
Yes.
All right, so can you tell the person beside you, don't miss out today?
Please don't miss out today.
Thank you. Please, a round of applause for her, ladies and gentlemen. So yesterday was very interesting. There was the SME training. Let me give you the gist, even though you missed out. And so we had conversations. The facilitators, taught about investment readiness, about business growth, about entrepreneurship in general. It was really good. This morning, we kicked off with the yoga session, right? I'll come down, if I can't hear you clearly, I'll come down and stand with you. We had the yoga session, am I right? And, it was facilitated. It was a good wellness session. We are ready for another part of the Bloom Weekend. Second question I'm going to ask you. How many people were here last year? If you were here last year for the Bloom Weekend, please raise your hand. Okay, I can see one hand. Raise it very high. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask them to pass the mic to you. All right, I can see a hand over there. Just echo. How was it last year? Fantastic. I mean, if you are here this year, it must have been a good use of your time. So last year was fantastic, and this year is going to be more beautiful. It's called the Bloom Weekend for a reason. And I was thinking to myself that it's called the Bloom Weekend. Last year it was Bloom Weekend. This year it is Bloom Weekend. 2 years ago it was Bloom Weekend. And I thought to myself, a quick story came to mind. I'm going to share a story with you very briefly. So my grandmother loves flowers a lot. She had a garden. And my grandmother and my mom, they were very strict when we were young with flowers. So you know how children would walk around and be jumping around everywhere. When it came to the flowers, you couldn't just go around them anywhere. They would just scream at you, go back, because they liked flowers that much. And I started to learn a lot from the way they tended the flowers, the way they took care of them, and generally from nature, specifically from the flowers. One of the things I learned is that a flower blooms, but it's not a one-time thing. When a flower blooms, it's not once. It doesn't bloom and that's the end. A flower blooms. Sometimes there's harsh weather. Am I right? Are you with me? Sometimes there's a harsh weather, and it looks like what's happening to this flower. But then with the right time, with the right care, the flower begins to bloom again. And there's a lot to learn as humans from nature, from flowers. It's the fact that despite the challenges, in spite of the things that we've had to go through, even though you bloomed last year, you can bloom this year again. You can bloom again and again. So it's not a question of are you doing well? You might be doing okay, but it's a question of can you do better? It's not last year were you blooming. It's not yesterday were you blooming. It is today are you blooming. Do you understand? And so it is continuous for us. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to turn to the person beside you, eye-to-eye contact. Maintain eye contact. Choose a partner. Look at someone beside you at this point. Look at someone. Turn to someone. Are you looking at someone? If the person beside you is avoiding you, stare at them. Say, it's you I'm talking to. It's you. You are my neighbor today. Now, I want you to tell the person that is sitting beside you, welcome to the Bloom Weekend. Okay, don't stop there. I want you to ask them, are you ready to bloom again? What did they say? What did they say? Amazing. So we're ready to bloom again and again. And a big thank you to Stanbic IBTC for organizing a platform that ensures that women are blooming over and again. Please celebrate Stanbic IBTC. Stanbic IBTC says we should bloom into more. And that's because Stanbic IBTC values women. The organization sees the value, the power, and the potential of women. That's why we're here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a phenomenal time. Let me take a moment to celebrate those who are joining us online because we are streaming online as I speak. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We hope and we know that you will have a great time as we go on today. Now, quick housekeeping as we go on, because we are ready to bloom. We are ready to flourish again and again. We want to bloom into more as the theme for the year. So we want to put some quick housekeeping to ensure that we have a seamless event. Please, don't forget to turn your phones off or put them on silent. I think silent is a good way to do it. Let's just check our phones. You know, sometimes we forget. And suddenly, as the speaker is saying, you know, this is how to bloom, you hear grrr, and then it takes us away. And then we have to come back. We want to ensure that it's a seamless event and there's little or no distraction. Our speakers are ready. I saw them in the green room and they are ready to inspire us. So please, let's turn our phones on silent because very easily we can get distracted. Put your phones on silent. Anybody that's going to message you, tell them, wait, I'm preparing. I'm preparing to bloom into more. So I'll come back to you later on. If you have to take calls and they're, you know, very, very important or urgent calls, you may need to step outside just to ensure that we have a seamless event and there is little distraction. Thank you. If you'd like to use the convenience of the restroom, you can use the exit door, and there's one on the left and on the right side of the hall outside. If you need further description, please see our ushers. Our ushers are standing by, and they're very happy to guide you. Now, speaking about blooming, you know we have a platform. Stanbic IBTC has a platform that is a community for women like you. It's a community for us to grow together. It's a community for us to network. It's a community for us to actually access products and discounts. So you can get discounts off the different offerings that Stanbic gives. And how do you join this community? Very easy. You can note it. You can put it on your phone now. You go to blueblossom.stanbicibtc.com. Blue Blossom, B-L-U-E, Blossom, B-L-O-S-S-O-M, .stanbicibtc.com. On social media, you can follow us, and as you know, the conversations get very interesting. Sometimes somebody will say something, you say, Somebody will say something, you say, wow. Put it on social media, and don't forget to use the hashtag Bloom Weekend 2025 and the hashtag Stanbic IBTC. Also follow on social media across the different platforms, from Instagram to X to Facebook, all the platforms, LinkedIn at Stanbic IBTC. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to ask you this question. Are you ready to bloom into more? Because if we don't say yes very well, our speakers will just carry their bags and just go back. And they came loaded. And they are listening. They're on the front row. And they said if the energy is not high, I'm going. They have a party. They have parties that they've invited them for, but they said they want to be here today. So they're listening. Please, I've told them that our audience is high in energy. I'm going to ask you again. Are you ready to bloom into more? All right, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, for the welcome address, the Executive Director, Operations at Stanbic IBTC Pensions Manager, Omolara Oshunshoko. A round of applause. Keep the energy high until she gets on stage.
Good morning, ladies at the table. Absolute pleasure to welcome you to another inspiring edition of the Ladies at the Table Empowerment Series, otherwise known as LATTES. For those of you that have wondered, what's LATTES? It's Ladies at the Table Empowerment Series. It's a platform that has grown into more than just an event. It is a movement. It's a space for real conversations, real connections, and real lasting growth. Today we have phenomenal women gathered here who have excelled in their respective fields and continue to evolve in meaningful ways. Their stories are rich with wisdom, and there's so much to learn from the insights that they'll be sharing. We have an incredible panel lined up. with women who have braved different seasons. You know, Remy talked about blossoming at different times and emerged with lessons, purpose, and a renewed sense of power. I urge you to receive their stories, not just as an inspiration, but as a mirror. I dare say you will find yourself in at least one of the speakers. Ask yourself, what season am I in right now? Would you want to ask your neighbor, what season are you in right now? And what is it teaching me? One of the highlights of this gathering is our panel discussion, themed Seasons of Growth, Navigating Purpose, Prosperity, and the Personal Power of Every Stage of Life. The theme is deeply intentional. At Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers, we believe that the women's financial journeys are not linear. They're layered, influenced by life stage, personal priorities, and often by access to right information and support. And that's why you're in the room today, and also online for our audience. And this is why we created LATTES, not just to talk about pensions, but to reframe the way women engage around their finances. Our goal is to ensure that every woman, whether she's just starting her career, running a business, raising a family, planning retirement, sees herself in that future that she's building. So today is not about surface level conversations or polished sound bites. It's about the truth. You will be hearing truths. It's about listening, sharing, remembering that behind every strong woman, there's often a quiet question. Am I truly prepared for the future that I want? Let today be a chance for you to answer that question, to reflect, to unlearn, and to grow together. Ask yourself, what season am I in? What is it teaching me? And what are the financial steps that I need to take to honor this season and prepare for the next? This is indeed the heart of LATTES. It's a space where we're not just seated at the table, we own it. We lead the conversations that matter. We build legacies that last. Thank you for showing up with your energy, with your openness, and your intention. You are part of something really transformative. So let's make today count. Can we celebrate our online audience once again and celebrate the next woman to you to say thank you for being here. Thank you. Enjoy the evening. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You know, the theme for this conversation or this event is blooming into more. And so I decided that we should have a catchphrase. So it's blooming into more. We're going to work with that. When I say blooming, you say into more. Because, you know, it's not a question. We established that. It's not a question of blooming just now. It's not a question of blooming yesterday. It's a question of doing much more. And when we say into more, I begin to wonder, into more what? It could be for you more opportunities. For you, it could be more money. Tell me, what are the things we want to bloom into more for? More what? More peace for someone. Right? More what? More health. Thank you. What else? Tell me, what do you want? More what? More sanity. You see, somebody wants to bloom into more sanity. I can hear people over here, but I'm going to step to this side and make sure that you can hear me over here. What do you want to bloom into more for? More money. I like that lady. She goes like this. Ego, kudi. Love it. I like how practical you are. Over here, how do you want to bloom into more? More opportunities, right. Any other ones? Please speak loud. Let me hear you. More connections. You are the right place. Oh, my sister, you are the right place. This is where you are blooming into more. All right. On this extreme end, how do you want to bloom into more? In which areas? I can hear you whispering. Tell me. How do you want to bloom into more? More contracts. You see, this is the place. Please, my sister, Networking is skill. So as you're here, don't just sit. You know, when I go to conferences or events, I always encourage people, don't just sit with your phone typing. After you leave this place, you still have your phone. When you leave this place, you still have your friend. In fact, if you came in here with someone, when you meet later on, you are still going together. Why not just build relationships with new people? Who knows? Maybe that could be your new partner. Maybe that could be a new friend, a new acquaintance, whatever it is. So I hear connections, I hear opportunities, contracts. Don't forget to network, and don't forget to listen to some of the things that the speakers are going to be sharing today. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the keynote address. Blooming! I thought you forgot, but I remember that when Stanbic IBTC invites women, they are the best of the best. Please, a round of applause for yourselves. Amazing. All right, so we're going into the keynote session now. Let me quickly say that the keynote speaker is someone that typifies the phrase from Nigeria to the world. She typifies the phrase that in Pidgin English we'll often say, Naija no dey carry. Come on, Naija no dey carry. Because she's representing us on a global stage. When I heard the name of her brand, I thought to myself, this name sounds Italian. It sounds English. And then I had a conversation with her, and she told me that it's an Ijaw name. I said, wow, truly, it's from Nigeria to the world. I'm going to introduce her in such a short time so that I cut down on the time. But I want us to pay attention when she comes up. And I want us to be very generous with the applause when I introduce her. She's none other than the founder of Torlowei, a Nigerian fashion house known for its luxury, ready-to-wear clothing with a lingerie-inspired touch, and also offers lingerie, swimwear, and resort wear. Now listen to this. I know you want to clap, but just listen to this one. She is the creator of the Esther dress. Now this Esther dress is the first piece of couture ever to join the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of African Art permanent collection. So when you go there, please ask about her work because she's representing us on the global stage. She has a background in textile design, places fabric and the manipulation of textiles at the core of her design process. Ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding applause, please make welcome Madam Patient Torlowei.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And I will permit you, I'm a bit nervous. I'm a very private person. So this is a very uncomfortable situation for me. But I think it's very necessary. Like she introduced me, my name is Patience Torlowei. Do I have the slides? I prepared a slide. I don't know if the media team. Okay, thank you. Right. I want to share a little bit of my life with you all because I believe that in life, when things happen to you, the biggest failure is not understanding why they happen to you. And whatever happens to you, take it as something you must learn. And if you don't learn it, you've suffered twice. So I start. I see myself as our lives are all in seasons. And there are different seasons. There are 4 seasons in Europe. In Africa, we have 3 seasons. I call Harmattan a season for me. And every season comes with a dying time and a rising time, both plants and human. And I'm going to use myself, the story of my life to try to maybe encourage one or two persons here. And I'm going to speak quite truthfully and frankly about my story. I am the daughter of a civil servant and farmer. My parents, we had very little, but they gave us the best. I was born apparently during the Biafra War, and although I didn't know anything about the Biafra War, my parents were quite successful in the East, and but they lost everything during the war. My father was a prisoner of war and escaped death. I remember lines of torture on his back. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But he ensured that his entire family went with the last boat going to Ijoland. And my parents, my mother took all the children and we were safe. So he escaped through the woods to join us. But he could never recover what they had acquired in Enugu. But, so we'll go to the second slide. Okay. The second slide, I call it the rebel. That was me, the young patient. Well, I was rebellious in my head because as a little girl in primary 3, I remember from as young as that, I was very curious about how a woman's breast was jacked up. My mom was well endowed, and she had the most beautiful St. Michael's bras. One moment her breast was down, next minute it was up. I didn't understand. So I took time studying her St. Michael's braziers, which it was a secret. No one knew what I was doing, but I was fascinated. I didn't know that was a seed that was in me, that God was going to blossom later. And I would curiously study it. And in primary school, strangely, needlework, art, I would be the best. I would win awards, but I didn't like it. I was very stubborn as well, being around a lot of boys. So I wanted to be a lawyer. I did everything to pass the cutoff point in JAM to do law, but they always gave me a few points too short to qualify. Rebelliously, I refused to go to school. I said either I would be a lawyer or a detective. So I spent 2 years at home, refusing to go to uni or to anything else if it wasn't to be law or to go to School of Defense or something. But as it wasn't happening, in those 2 years, 4 total strangers, really strangers, would just see me somewhere. They just in passing say a word. If you don't study art, you're missing out on what God is calling you for. It didn't make sense. But after 2 years, I saw people my age. They were proudly saying, I'm in 300 level. I was feeling embarrassed. So I had to just kowtow, put my tail between my leg, and apply to any school to do art. I applied to Auchi Poly and Yabatech. Auchi Poly took me. I wanted to be far away from everybody, so I went to Auchi. I did general arts. And I also still wanted to become a graphic designer. I said, if I cannot be a lawyer defending someone in courts, they should be seeing my billboards where my name is there as an artist. I wanted people to know that. But one day, I was doing an assignment in the department on a Sunday, and the head of department was just taking a walk. It was very quiet, the environment, and I heard this voice just belt out and said, if you do not study textile, you would have walked away from where God is taking you. Those were the exact words. I jolted, but I kept that word in my membrane. And I kept becoming the best in every assignment in textile. I hated it, really hated it. Then fast forward, I was in Yabatech for my H&D. And reluctantly, we do not do anything, but always got the best points. Then schooling was quite thorough. And finished
as the best student of my year with a distinction. Okay, now I've moved on from my rebellious days. We can go to the next slide. We can go to the next slide, please. Okay. So the next slide, I'd finished schooling, and in our days, those of you that can relate, I'm a 60-year-old woman standing here. You can relate that in those days, the moment you graduated, they expect to see who you're going to marry. And it will be your high school sweetheart. And while I was in my final year, the husband came along. And he was not even living in Nigeria, but he came to Nigeria to look for his wife. But once upon a time, when I was in secondary school, on one of the visiting days, I was in a boarding school, and I just lay on the fields watching the planes crisscrossing the skies. And I made a wish to God. I said, there are people on those planes, they're coming from somewhere and they're going somewhere. One day, when it's time to marry, God, give me somebody who will show me the world. That was a word I said. I was in class 2 in secondary school, but I didn't think much of it. I just said it, but I was just enjoying the tracks on the skies. But when the time came, God did just that. He sent me my husband, and he was a wonderful man. He came, we were married very quickly. I was doing my NYSC in Jos. I finished that, got married, and became a wife and mother of 2 children. And he didn't want me to do any work, just to be a kept woman at home. He provided fully and beyond, even for both families. And, but I felt there was something in me. Why would I just go to school and do nothing? And that wasn't what I felt my calling was. And I will say a word. When God has a plan for you, he will disrupt your comfort to ensure he has his way. Because he owns us. We are vessels, and we are here for a purpose. We must know what our purpose is. Anyway, then I come back to being a wife and a kept woman. And my husband didn't want me to work, so I said, okay, I have to find something to do with my time. So I started teaching myself how to use a domestic sewing machine, how to read patterns, and how to sew. I'm a self-taught tailor. I was very curious. I could figure things out easily. I invested in books. That was my biggest investment. I bought all manner of books. And because I studied textile, I love textile, I started attending trade shows from 1996 in Paris. Every year they had 2 trade shows, and each time I will go to those trade shows, I will be the only one that looked like me in those shows. And I will see the most breathtaking fabrics. I could feel them. It's like they could talk to me. I wouldn't want this thing to end. And these shows are like 7 halls, and it will go on for 3 days. And out of curiosity, they will sometimes let me into their stand because they could see every season in the summer and in the winter, this black woman will show up. And I was always the only one like me. And sometimes I felt timid. But I had no reason to be timid because my husband had elevated me to a place where I had confidence. But still, I'm the only black person. So I had to keep my head up, go in, touch, feel, ask questions. So I was nurturing something inside. And in all of this, teaching myself through books. I will move on because I could stay here forever. Let's go to, okay. At a point, my husband desired that one day we'll come back home, so we started preparing to come home. And we were investing in our country, sending money to build a brick factory in his mother's village, Erua. Some of you will know Yorubas, Erua, in Oyo State. Yes. So we will come to Erua to come and see progress. There was hardly any progress. We had a huge land and we had the machines. So my job, because I had time, I ensured that I bought all the machines, make sure that everything is set up. So one fateful day, I said, let me go and see, why are they demanding for money? Every month we were sending about 5,000 euros to sustain a business, but the soil is there, the machines are there. Why can't they make the brick, fire it, sell it, and raise money? Out of curiosity, I came, I saw that money wasn't used for anything. The machines were under the sun and rain. Nothing was happening. Our money had been pillaged by his own family. I felt the pain because it was our money. We had one bank account. It wasn't a case of your money and my money. So I was the one managing the home. I was the one investing for the home, for us. But when I saw that, I returned to Europe and told my husband, I want to move back to Nigeria. You stay here, keep working. He was a software writer. He was a freelance person. So we never really stayed in the same home. He would work in different countries, but he came home every 2 weeks. As women, we have to keep the marriage going. You understand? So either he came home in 2 weeks or I go to him in 2 weeks. That was how we managed it. And, but when I came and I saw the situation, I returned and said, I am moving to Nigeria and I'll move with our kids so that they would know their country and make foundational friends. That was the end of my life as a wifey and a lifey. The next slide, please. I hope I'm not boring you all. I'm getting somewhere, and at the end of this, some people may be encouraged to keep trying. So on the next slide, you can see the title, From the Ashes. What was to happen next, I never saw coming. Remember, I was a kept woman. I had never worked a day in my life. I had a manicured life, but I was still a very natural person. It took me 1 year to prepare for our transition to Nigeria, the kids and I. I went to Ibadan. I found a place in Old Bodija. I'm sure some of you know that. Beautiful big house, and big enough because I didn't want the move to be shock for the kids because they had never lived in Nigeria. Beautiful house. We had everything we could desire. And I prepared 6 months shopping that will make the kids think they are still in Europe, but slowly transiting them to Nigerian food. But this was to only last, my return was only to last 6 weeks. And we also had 6 dogs. And one of them was my son's personal dog, and she was called Bubbles. This means something, it means a lot. In 6 weeks, after 1 year planning, 2 40-foot container loads of belongings, 2 cars, anything you can think of, shipped to Nigeria for me to manage our family factory. And in the same breath, I wanted to have something that I will enjoy doing. I had mastered the art of making braziers, like my mother's St. Michael's brass. Self-taught. But spent time in an old woman's atelier in Brussels to see details that I couldn't have understood. So I had my own thing, that I had prepared. But the day the plane landed in Nigeria, on the 9th of August, 2024, 2004, on that day, my daughter was traumatized with between the airport and Ibadan. There were so many things that made her jitter. For instance, a truck on the road with petrol spilling, but traveling nonetheless. But we made it safely to Ibadan. But they started school. So many things happened in those 6 weeks that were confusing to my brain. My husband was working in Brussels. But one fateful day in October, 1st of October to be precise, something strange happened in my bedroom on the 28th of September. We went to sleep as usual. I got into my bedroom with my daughter who was playing with me in my room. My son was in his room. A freak wind engulfed my room. I didn't know where it came from. The windows were closed, the AC was on, there was no wind, there was no rain. However, from the following day, my husband did not know who I was anymore. He was in Belgium. I called him on the phone, he didn't know my voice anymore. He didn't know who I was anymore. The children tried to speak to him, he didn't recognize their voices anymore. I started hallucinating. My daughter was bleeding and stooling blood. So I had to make a choice. I ran to my auntie-in-law, told her what was going on. She said to me, "Patience, you came back too soon. You have to make a choice. Either you go back to your Europe and cleave with your husband there under his protection, or you fight it out. One person will win." But I was informed the day they just did my traditional, went to taking home, that I was not a Yoruba girl. But that is not important. And I wasn't wanted. But anyway, that's besides the point. I moved back with my children on October 1st. His birthday was October 2nd. We arrived October 2nd. When we greeted him, he didn't know who we were. And it became something I did not understand. No matter what we will try or do, he didn't know who we were. That was end. Long story short, he left us on the 22nd of December of that year. I, who had never worked, suddenly had to find a way to pay the mortgage, put food on the table, and come out of depression. My son also went into depression because of Bubbles, his dog. Fast forward. Can we go to the next slide? I rise. The 20 years that followed my return to Nigeria, to return to Europe, it was sink or swim. Choose one. I swam. Sometimes I am tired. I want to sink. God will throw a lifeline through somebody that I would least expect. And I kept swimming. sometimes it's like it starts with the seasons. In the winter, the bulb is on the ground. You think it's dead. Or the trees, they've lost their foliage. You think the tree is dead. But spring will come again. And summer will come. In the spring, the first ray of light that hits the soil in the winter as it's trying to break into spring, you suddenly see the shoot from the bulb. They just come out of the soil and they come out with the most beautiful daffodils, and you know that summer is coming. And that was my life. There were seasons. It was tough, and it went on for 20 years. And in this time, I got to understand, why did I have to study textile? Why not law? I started understanding, while I was in those 20 years of toil, finding myself, I lost everything, but I had the most precious things left, my 2 children. Put them through school. They are grown adults that I can be very proud of. My daughter today is my business partner, because I know that I was created to create a path for the younger generation, for the next generation, to have it easy. In the process, I learned how to make bra, make clothes. I will make things. Everybody seemed to like them, and I didn't understand. So I understood now that all I had to go through, the Lord created me for a purpose, and He needed to remove every distraction for Him to do what He wants to do with me. I was created to be used by God, to encourage people, to build people. I'm not going to stay much longer. I just know that I am a vessel. So I will move to the next slide. Now, most of us here are women. Of course, some men helping to make sure things work. Thank you, cameramen, and the few men in the audience. But along this journey, in Europe, some uncommon things happened. I took my first job working for a bridal company. I just walked in. I had no CV. I didn't know how to write a CV. Never done that before. I'll walk into a place. I said, I like what you're doing. I want to be here. And they just let me in. I went into Pronuptia. Some of you might know Pronuptia is the biggest French-owned bridal company. I became the head of design in Pronuptia. I became the first black person to ever work for them. And I was the only staff that could speak 3 European languages. And they had 5 stores. They never lost a sale. Anytime the VIP clients will be in any of the branches, that was where I resumed, because whatever we did not have in wedding dresses, I would make it. How did I learn it? I don't know, but I knew it. I will make it. The bride will be well pleased. At some point, my boss now asks me, why are you working for me? I said, I don't want to work for you. I don't know what I'm doing here. I love siesta. In the afternoon, I like to have a 30-minute power nap. Working for you, I'm not able to do that, but I like to work for myself. He said, what do you need to start working for yourself? I said, I need a seed capital. I need just 5,000 euro. He said, I will be your investor. He gave me the 5,000 euro. With that 5,000 euro, I added my little monies. I registered my first company, a limited liability company in Belgium called it's Torlowei BVBA, Patients Torlowei BVBA. Anyway, I had the first bridal company making wholesale wedding dresses, supplying to 7 European countries in my first year, 7 in Belgium, 9 in France, 5 in Switzerland, 1 in Austria, 1 in Germany, and 1 in Portugal. Within the first year, my seed capital of 8,000 euro, I had made 132,000 euros. I needed to come back home because God created me a Nigerian, made me a black person to add value to our continent, for me to transfer my skill and my knowledge, and to create employment. Even though what happened to me in Nigeria made me run back to Europe, God said, that is not where I want you. You must go back home. I came back to Nigeria for 2 reasons only: knowledge transfer and job creation. Today, I have clothes in 4 museums in America, in England, the Victoria and Albert Museum, the Metropolitan Museum. Right now, there's an exhibition, the Superfine exhibition that just happened with the Met Gala. My work is the highlight of the exhibition. And the exhibition is still on. If you're in New York anytime this summer, go to the Metropolitan Museum, you will see my work. Cornell University, they own one of my work as a study for their university students. I can go on, but I'm going to stop. I am not following my notes. These are women. These people you see here, every woman here and more, they have played a part in my growth. They silently helped me in one way or the other by buying, by opening a door. Women, all I will say, let us be our sister's keeper. If you have something you can do to help a fellow sister grow, do it. Thank you very much. I should stop at that.
I am woman.
Please, a round of applause for her. Wow, it's okay to celebrate her. Wow, 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 just wow. Thank you, thank you. Another wow, wow. You know, that's what I just feel like saying, wow. A story about building from nothing. You know, it's one thing to hear this kind of story and it all just goes up, 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 up. But we could hear practically the challenges that she had. We could hear practically how that she had challenges and how she overcame. Can we please celebrate her again? So this is so inspiring for all of us. And I want to just encourage us as the sessions go on. This is the keynote. We're still going to have the panel discussions where we have the opportunity to hear diverse perspectives from different women. And we have the master classes also coming up. Please open your heart to listen because we are ready to bloom into. We are ready to bloom into. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a females event, right? Ladies at the Table Empowerment Series. But we have a few gentlemen who are in our midst. These gentlemen are the ones who say that we are he for she. We support the women. And I'd like to quickly invite one of them for a brief remark. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome to the stage the acting chief executive, Stanbic IBTC Holdings, Mr. Kunle Adedeji. A round of applause.
Yeah.
and all the things that I've been through. Good morning, everyone. I think it's been a good event so far, starting with the yoga, but just joining the session and listening to the former speaker, I think a lot of inspiration. What I can just say is that, we need to continue to support ourselves, and our last statement about all the support, people that supported are mostly women. We need to look after ourselves. And at the end of the day, we are the pillar of our various homes. Whatever challenges we have, we are aware to continue to find solutions. We know our women to be resilient. I just want to welcome you and thank you for attending. Please exchange ideas, exchange contacts, and I believe that we can, benefit from each other as we listen to our panel discussion and all the activities that we learn for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly.
Thank you very much. Round of applause. He said exchange ideas and exchange what else? He said exchange ideas and exchange. Let's start from this point. If you are sitting beside somebody and you don't know their name yet, you are wrong. Please, if you're sitting beside somebody and you don't even know their name, you're wrong. Oh, I can see people doing ojoro very quickly. What's your name? What's your name? Just in case. But who knows? Maybe the people that when you are giving your speech at an event like this, like Madam Patient, maybe the people you will be acknowledging will be, there was a lady, I sat beside her at the Stanbic IBTC LATTES event, and my story changed. But if you don't want to, miss out on such opportunities, please, network. Network is so important. All right, ladies, we are going into the next session of the LATTES event, which is the panel discussion. And I really appreciate the fact that you've been very generous with your applause. You've been very energetic. You've been a part of this. You've been here physically and mentally. And I look forward to even more engagement as we go on. And those who are online as well, we see you. We appreciate you. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for being a part of it. We see you, even though you are joining from different parts of the world. So I'm going to invite our panelists for this discussion and ask you to please be generous with your applause as I bring them to the stage. Are you ready? Are you ready? Blooming! It's only this side of the hall, oh. I don't want to be guilty of being partial. Blooming! Blooming! Amazing. At the back of the hall, please, I want to hear you. Blooming! Amazing. Amazing. All right, we're going to invite the panelists now, our speakers. And of course, the topic is seasons of growth, navigating purpose, prosperity, and the personal power at every stage of life. Because remember, there are different stages of life. And if you remember the analogy I gave, it's that with the flowers, despite the seasons and the different times, we can still bloom. So, first on the list, I'd like to invite to the stage All right, first on the list I'd like to invite to the stage is the Chief Creative Director, Q21 Solutions Limited, Madam Eunice Showumi Adeyemi. A round of applause. She's the Chief Creative Officer, Q21 Solutions. She has devoted considerate competencies to organizing and building a corporate-focused experiential marketing support organization. Q21 Solutions provides event management and experiential event management services and experiential marketing to corporate Nigeria. Q21 has successfully executed several major events in Nigeria, such as Africa Magic Viewers Choices Awards, AMVCA, Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program, All African Business Leaders Awards, and many more. A guiding belief system which seeks to nurture the best in humanity brought her to Nigeria in 2006 and manifests in the excellent legacy of Q21 Solution. Please, a round of applause for her. All right, the next person I would like to invite to the stage. So I would mention their name, read about them, and they will come on stage. The next person is Dr. Adriana Tikolo, a seasoned educationist with over 30 years of experience in education delivery, research and administration and management. Dr. Tikolo is certified in dyslexia assessment, support and intervention. She holds a certificate of competency in education testing, a diploma in dyslexia support, and a certificate in assessment and access arrangement from Middlesex University, UK. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Dr. Adrian Tikolo, Managing Director, Dyslexia Nigeria. All right. To the next person I'm inviting on stage, a chartered financial analyst. A chartered financial analyst, charter holder. Her most recent position before creating oladele.com was a part of the executive management team at Parthian Partners Limited, where she was instrumental in launching the first ever Nigerian Treasury Bill investment app, as well as successful commercial paper and bond issuance. At olaoladele.com, she founded an exclusive investment community, the Money With Club, which facilitated personal finance workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Madam Ola Oladele. A round of applause. Next person I'd like to invite to the stage is an experienced corporate communications professional, a diction instructor, and a content creator. She's called Diction with Daring. She's fondly called Diction with Daring and has trained thousands of people and served clients around the globe, including the UK, US, Canada, Australia, UAE, to name a few, on the topics of public speaking, effective communication, executive presence, and social etiquette. Please welcome to the stage, Madam Aderisola Adeyemi. A round of applause. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite to the stage the head compliance Stanbic IBTC pensions manager. She is Madam Eunice Akan, Edidiong Akan. Please, a round of applause. Pardon me. Madam Edidiong Akan. She holds a degree in law from the University of Jos, and she was called to the Nigerian bar in 2002. She has over 20 years experience spanning legal practice, business development, risk management, and compliance. Before taking on the role of the Chief Compliance Officer, she had previously served as the Pioneer Regional Manager, Northwest, and briefly took on the role of Legal Risk Officer at Stanbic IBTC Bank PLC in 2010. Since joining the compliance team in 2011, she's been pivotal to the growth and success of the function in embedding regulatory requirements within the operations of the organization. A round of applause for her. And finally, last but definitely not the least, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I bring back up our keynote speaker to join this dynamic panel discussion, Madam Patience Torlowei. A round of applause. Yes, she deserves that. We celebrate her. Our keynote speaker whose lifestyle exemplifies standing up and rising despite challenges. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to also be bringing up the moderator for this segment. Are you ready to welcome the moderator? All right. She's a master of ceremonies, lawyer, event host. Please welcome Temi Badru. Where's the energy? Where's the energy? All right, thank you so much. It's so great to be here and to be speaking with women who have accomplished so much and, to just be gleaning from their wealth of experiences. And so I invite all of us to pay attention, to learn. If you thought that Madam Patient's story was very inspiring and there was so much to learn, then wait till you listen to our panelists. Just wait for it. It's going to be amazing. Once again, blooming. Okay, so we're going to be blooming into more. And I'm going to start with a question for Madam Oladele, Chartered Financial. Okay, we have a mic. Yours is here. Chartered Financial Analyst, right? And just by my side. So, my thought is that usually, when it comes to investments, when it comes to, because again, this conversation, remember that prosperity is a key part of it. When it comes to investments, when it comes to savings, when it comes to pensions, a lot of women have anxiety or hesitation. What's one common myth or one common fear that you find? Because a lot of women in this hall, remember we said blooming into more, and when we defined more, for some people, more meant more money, right? I remember the person who did like this, ego, kudi, it's about the money, right? So what's your thoughts about this, really? One common fear or some common fears that you say that we have sometimes as women?
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me, and apologies for my croaky voice. My name is Ola, and I'm really happy to be here. CFA is a designation, so that's not part of my name. My name is Ola. But one thing that I find, and what I do right now, apart from my finance experience, being a former trader, and all those core finance things, I have evolved into running a financial wellness company where we actually help people put their finances in order. So I will teach kids, and I will have sessions with people about to retire, just putting their finances in order. Now, one of the things that I found quite common with women is that we want all the ducks to align before we make a move, right? And we know that even when you start a job, right, you don't know how it's going to pan out. When you take that job, you don't know if they kill people in that office or if they drink blood. You don't know, right? But we take that. But when it comes to money, there's just this mindset that before I invest, I must have everything I want in the right order. My job must be paying me this. I must be able to save this. I must understand everything about investing before I take that first move. And what that does for us is that we end up wasting time. We end up saving, because saving is one thing that women tend to do. Okay, so there's some women that spend all their money on hair, yeah? But for a lot of women who are prudent, we save. But we find that when we don't end up investing, something will come and take that money away. So, and that thing is not necessarily bad. It's just that because you had money, there was no reason to say no. It just goes. So one thing that I would like to encourage women is that everything doesn't, you can start where you are. You can start, you don't know how to invest, you have Stanbic pensions, add something to your pension contribution as your voluntary company, even if it is 1,000 naira. If you don't want to do that, you can buy stocks with 1,000 naira. You can buy a mutual fund. Stanbic also has those products, right, where you can do with 5,000. But if you're waiting till I must start when I have 1 million, you would find that you get to 999, something will pull you back. And then the million now becomes the standard of 1.5, and you get to 1.4, and something pulls you back. But imagine if you had been building over time. So one thing that I really want women, and it's fair, it's really fair, it's having that rationale that will make you not make the move in case you lose the money. That's literally what it is at the back, right? And we'll probably talk about how to address it later. But the most important thing is to know that life is actually at no point perfect. Even if you think it is, it's really not that perfect. So you don't need to wait until all the ducks align before you start.
Thank you so much. Very profound, very profound, very, very profound. You know, at different times, I would say that it's okay to clap. But you know, there are seasons when you hear certain things and your response, your natural response is just, and that's okay too. That's okay. All right. So we're moving on to the next person. I'd like to ask Madam Eunice Showumi Adeyemi, who is the CCD, Chief Creative Director, Q21 Solutions. You've built a successful and an influential career, and you know, you've done so well. I mean, when I was reading your bio, I saw some of the most prestigious events that your organization has been able to put together, and that's an aspiration that a lot of women will look to or would be inspired by. Just looking back, what were some of the critical decisions, the habits, the mindset that helped you break barriers and rise to the top? Because I believe that there may have been challenges, but yes, and the way you smile is like plenty if I start to talk. But what were some of the mindsets that helped you to rise above the challenges?
Well, thanks for the question, and thank you to Stanbic for actually putting this together. Your story, madam, was inspirational because I moved back to Nigeria 18 years ago to do similar things, try to make a difference, right? So some of the things that I would say is, you know, saying yes before I felt ready, fully ready. For me, that was one of the things that I would say really stood out for me, being able to say yes even though I wasn't fully ready. Building my own table. You know when they say they invite you to a table, be ready? I built my own table. I mean, people weren't doing corporate events only. Like they were doing weddings, they were doing birthday parties. We focused just on corporate events only, right? And so I built my own table. We clocked 15 this year. This week, we actually made this is our 15th anniversary, so I'm so excited about that, right? And then choosing people over perfection. People don't realize that your people are so important. We talk about it often, but I chose my people over perfection, and at the end of the day, that built loyalty and that built sustainability within the organization. So you have to remember that, right? From a habits perspective, it was, you know, showing up even when it was hard. Even when it's raining outside and you don't feel like doing it, showing up when it's hard, ladies, and it's difficult. You've got the kids screaming. I mean, I have 2 kids, one's 20, one's 23. And even when they were younger, just showing up for them, showing up for myself, showing up for the business in itself can be difficult, but it's important. And then always documenting. We forget that as business owners or even as individuals, always documenting. Not just documenting your success, but also the things that you failed at. Because it's through documenting the things that you failed at that you're able to actually learn the important things. So it's great to celebrate the successes, but then can you tell me about the failures so that you can learn from them? And then learning across industries. Don't just focus on being, I'm in sewing, so therefore I'm just sewing, I'm focusing on fashion alone. Focus on all industries, right? I mean, I read books about in the medical field, and that alone helps to keep me invigorated and ignited in the things that I do. And then I'll say from doing it all to building others. I can't stress it enough, collaborating, right? And people think about mentoring, and you think more about, you know, you're looking for a mentor that's above you. Also find mentors in your peers. Collaborating with people within your peers, finding inspiration within your peers. And you talked about this earlier about networking. Network within your peers. You forget that your peers are actually very important. What I'm doing in my space is the same thing that somebody else who's a peer of mine could be doing in this space, but they're doing it differently. So can I learn from them? Can I be encouraged by them? So for me, those are the things that I've learned over the last 15 years.
So good, so good. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So good. You know, there's something you said that really stood out to me, and I think it was the first point where you talked about showing up even when you don't feel ready. And I read something, I was reading something that says that it was some statistics that says that women usually are very quick to say no when they don't feel ready. And men are more eager to jump at the opportunity. And I realized it. Sometimes I'm asking two people to do something. Two of them have not done it before. But sometimes it feels like some men are more, usually the men are more eager to say, oh, let's try it. And then the woman sometimes who is very competent and who has some transferable skill may feel a little bit drawn back. Can I really do it? I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to do this. Meanwhile, she's likely more competent than the other person who just says yes. And the guy says yes and he leaves there and says, I will learn it, sir. Is it hard? And that's a mindset that I think that we all need to have. So thank you so much for sharing. I miss other thoughts as well. Thank you so much. All right, I'll come to Dr. Adrian Tikolo, Managing Director, Dyslexia Nigeria. Now, in the course of your work, you work with families, you work with parents and schools, and then people, are facing challenges. People who, you support children with learning disabilities. My thoughts would be that for a lot of women who are in here, who would like to learn from your expertise, what are the signs that we should look out for? When it comes to children, what should every mother, because there are mothers in this hall, they're caregivers, what should we be watching out for? To know when, okay, perhaps this child has a learning disability and this is how to overcome it. That early detection, how can we embrace it? And how can we also support it? It's 2 in 1. What are the signs that parents should be looking out for? And how can caregivers and parents, how can we support children, and just generally other stakeholders? How can we support children in a way that helps to build their confidence and academic success?
Wow. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. That question sits at the center of what I do. It's really close to my heart. And it's really important because we find that dyslexia or specific learning difficulties or differences, I usually like to call them specific learning differences, it hides in plain sight. It's right there, and you can't see it. You find dyslexia behind those chairs during homework time. Or that child that is quite articulate and, speaks very well, but can't seem to be able to read or read fluently, or has difficulty comprehending what he reads. Dyslexia would hide behind, that lazy child, the one we label lazy or is careless, doesn't like to write. Or dyslexia would hide behind, just the anxiety about school and the frustrations, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to write, and the avoidance tactics that you get from reading. So it's right there. And many times parents, especially mothers, when they work with the child, they would see those signs. But sometimes they get told, oh, it's just a phase, it will pass over, it will blow over. So the signs are there and they don't know the signs. There are many signs across the lifespan, but what should you really be looking out for? And the first would be, sort of delay with speech. Because dyslexia is a language processing difficulty, it would show up in all of the areas that relate to language. So there will be a delayed speech in some of them, and they won't speak early. They start speaking about 3 years old. And sometimes they will have word-finding difficulties. That thing, that pencil, or just something, everyday word that he can't remember. Or the child that has difficulty with remembering the alphabet and the sounds, sequences, in as much as he has been taught so many times. Or that child that just can't seem to put his ideas down on paper, or his spelling could be phonetically correct, like say doctor, and he'll spell it as D-O-K-O-T-R, for instance. But, you know, and his writing is really messy, but it's very, very good with storytelling, for instance. Dyslexia is a language processing difficulty. As with most of all of the other specific learning difficulties, they don't affect intelligence. So if you're seeing some of these signs, don't do nothing. You must do something. You know, you must start early. And the most important factor is early identification. If you're seeing something, you must be doing something. Trust your instinct. Talk to the school. So the first thing is early identification. If you identify early, you give the child a fighting chance at thriving and not just surviving. Okay, so the next thing you must do is you must acknowledge their strengths, because dyslexia also comes with specific strengths. The good with creativity, the very good storytellers, the good with their hands, the good problem solvers, they have good, you know, they can come up with ideas. So celebrate their good parts. They're good in sports, swimming, whatever. Celebrate those parts. Also make home a safe place. School is hard enough. Make home a safe place. So don't bring on the pressure for perfection at home. Recognize the effort that they're making and celebrate that progress over and above the specific achievement you're looking for. It's important that we do this. You also must then find what works for the child, and you do this by asking for an assessment. If you know it, then you know how to address it. See something, say something, do something. Because that way, you know what that sort of learning will help your child, what sort of teaching will help your child. Something multisensory, something structured. You know, it's important that you do early assessment. You must get an assessment. If you have, say you've got high temperature, you're vomiting or something, you will go for a test. You won't just assume it's malaria or it's typhoid or something. When you know what it is, diagnosis will take you to the point where you can address the situation. And then we talk a lot about labeling, like you said. Oh, we label the child. It's lazy, it's not smart, you know, too playful. Diagnosis will take you from labeling to understanding. You know what to do with the child. And, of course, be your child's best advocate. Find what works. Go to the school, speak to them, speak up for them. Be their voice, you know, be the one that finds out what is working for my child. Is this good enough? Can we do more? Don't be shy to go and ask, you know, trust your instincts, but above all, believe in your child, and, you know, that's the way to go.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. I find this to be so relatable because I know someone who had a learning disability, and today she's doing so well on global stages. But she was sharing a story, and she was talking about how that when she was young, she had learning disabilities, and usually because she was different, they would usually cane her and say, why haven't you learned this? Why can't you pronounce this? Do this over and over again. And it took somebody who one day looked at her and said, this child is making an attempt. This child is trying. There's something here. And then they started to understand that there was a learning disability. And from learning that, they were able to find the solution and work with her. And just what if, you know, we see children and we just label them like you said. Oh, this one is too lazy. Oh, you don't want to know book. Oh, then the child is learning and the child is crying. You're beating the child and flogging the child and speaking ill to the child. You know, when the child just needs to be encouraged and when you need to find the solution. So you're doing such a great work. I should say that it's phenomenal. It's helping us to build children and eventually build the future. Thank you so much for what you've shared with us, ma'am. All right, let me come over to the left part of the hall and the extreme part of the hall. Madam Edidiong Akan, Head of Compliance, Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers. Now, in the course of your work, I know that you've related with a lot of women of different age brackets, different women, diverse groups. And you'd agree that sometimes women, or a lot of times actually, women delay or avoid retirement planning. Perhaps because it feels overwhelming, perhaps we just don't want to think about the future sometimes, or maybe we're just simply disconnected. Maybe it's a lack of knowledge. From your experience, what are some of the key struggles that women face when it comes to thinking long term? And how can we shift that mindset? Because it is important. I mean, even if I just listen to the story of our keynote speaker, it showed me that it's important to begin to think long term and to begin to think of the future. So how can women shift that mindset?
Okay, I think the first thing I will say is that I don't think that women shy away from thinking long term. I think the problem is how we think of the long term. Now, for a lot of women, and we were having this conversation just before we came out here, your retirement planning revolves around two things. Like Madam Patient said, you know, you get out of school, you get married. So you get married, that man is one leg of your retirement plan because he's the provider. So that's his headache to worry about. That's one thing. The second thing is that you then have children, and you're raising your children, you know, and you want them to grow up and do well, because guess what? That's the second leg of your retirement planning. So it's not that they're not thinking long term. They are thinking long term. It's how they are thinking about it that's the issue. And what you want to change is, you know, you need to get a lot of people, a lot of women to the place where they are active participants in their own life. We're not spectators in our lives, because that's what really happens. We take the back seat. We put everybody's needs ahead of ours. We're caring for everybody. We're not doing enough to care for ourselves. And then for things that are for us, we leave it to, in quote, vibes and inshallah, you know, by the grace of God. You know, by grace, something will happen. There'll be a turnaround. There'll be one split second, one big miracle, one big money is going to come down. You know, because in our minds, there's the husband, there's the children. We don't really think of ourselves. And I think it's a lot of nurture, where we're coming from, where we've grown up. You're grown up, you're taught as a woman to care for everybody else. So even when you get married, you're still thinking about your parents, you're thinking about your sister, you're thinking about your brother. How are they doing? Are they doing well? You know, if they're not, you want to reach back and raise them up. So the first thing is just to interrogate that mindset. You need to start to ask yourself, because if you have not raised yourself, how do you raise others? So the first thing is that you need to start to take your own self seriously. You need to take yourself seriously and prioritize yourself. It has to be deliberate, because your default is to prioritize other people. So if you don't make it you don't commit to it on a personal level, it's not going to change. You know, that's the first thing. And then again, to realize that, like I said, you can't be a spectator in your own life. So you need to think deliberately about retirement. And I shared with one of the panelists earlier that I was challenged in my own retirement planning when I went for a training with a colleague. I don't know if she's in the hall today. She's one of the executives of one of our businesses. And when she showed me the balance in her voluntary contribution account, I said to myself, Edijon, you have been playing and eating your future. I said, you've been playing and eating your future. And this was a couple of years back. She had several millions in that voluntary contribution. I'm like, hey, what have I been doing with my salary? You know, and it was a wake-up call for me to say, look, you have to be deliberate about doing some things, about setting money aside, about planning for your retirement. You have to think about it on a daily. I have a client who's close to retirement. She has about 2 years, and she doesn't give me room to breathe. She literally checks her account every day, and she'll call me if anything drops. John, this thing has just dropped. If anything is wrong with our website or our app, she's the first to know, because she checks it every day religiously. That's how we need to be deliberate about our planning. So the first thing is that mindset shift. Understand that there's nobody coming to save you. You are your savior, so to speak. So you have to take responsibility for your own life, for your own retirement, for your own planning, for your own everything, really. People will come, help will come along the way and all of that. But you have to take the step first to say, I have to do this for me. So it's a mindset thing, first of all, and that's it.
Thank you so much. Yes, please, you may.
I just wanted to add that in addition to what she said, seek knowledge. Because even if you have good intentions and you change your mindset, the what to do, you actually have to learn it. Somebody needs to transfer that knowledge to you. So while you're recalibrating, there's so much knowledge out there. YouTube, just basics of how do I plan my finances, things like that. Start training your mind to be looking in that direction so that as you build the capital, there is at least, we are saying starting small. So you can start small with trying new things, but you must know that those things exist. So there's a place for knowledge, and it is not hard. I'm sure we all know one person who is not educated, but is tracking the stock markets. I'm sure we know that person. There's one person, someone who has nothing to do with finance. Why? Because the person fought to enter there mentally. So if you're a woman running a business and you are strong in that business, you have the capacity to do it if you put your heart to it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The financial advisor in Madam Ola could not resist adding that because she's the person who is always sharing financial knowledge. So she says start with somebody, start with what you have now, start to get information. And if there's some networking opportunity after this event, make sure that you find a way to start with somebody, ask questions. You understand what I mean? All right. So I'm coming over to Madam Aderisola, who is a communications consultant, communications coach. My thoughts would be, we're talking about blooming into more, bloom into more. How can communication help women to bloom into more? Especially, perhaps personal lives, professional lives. How can communications be a tool to bloom into more for us?
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Stanbic IBTC, for putting this together. Now, how can communication help women bloom into more? I'll tell you a personal story first. Growing up, I used to be an incredibly timid person. And now, it's very ironic that all of my gifts and talents are literally vocal, from speaking, teaching, singing, voiceovers, all of these things. They are literally vocal. Now, imagine winking in the dark. So how, is there really any craft, any business, any endeavor that does not involve communicating with the next person? Is there? Really? Is there? None, exactly. So I always tell people, I tell my clients, I say, count the cost of obscurity. Obscurity is very expensive because it was literally what I did to, should I say, help me bloom into a confident woman who is now helping other people find their voices. So one of the things I would say, communication, first of all, is very, very important in every field of study. I tell people, you are always selling. You're either selling yourself, or you're selling a product, or a service. That's number one. Number two, like I alluded previously, count the cost. What do I stand to gain? Or rather, what do I stand to lose when I don't speak up? A lot. Opportunities. And a lot of times you find that women, just like one of us mentioned, a lot of the time, because you think that you don't have all of the degrees or you don't have all of the certification, you don't even want to give it a try. You don't even want to make an attempt. But our male counterparts, whether they have it together or not, they're ready to get going. So I'd say start where you are with what you have, okay? And then, again, obscurity is expensive. Sit down and literally say to yourself, Adeyemi, what do I have to lose when I don't speak up? Loads and loads of opportunities. And what do I stand to gain? a lot of opportunities. So that's what I'll
Thank
say.
you very much. Thank you. Let me quickly let you into some secret. Okay, an open secret anyways. After this segment, we're going to have a masterclass, and Deri is going to be one of the facilitators. She's going to be moderating that session or facilitating that session on communication. So you want to quickly, because if you have to pay for that segment and you don't wait for it, you spend plenty dollars. So just wait for it. She's going to be teaching us, she's going to be guiding us into how to get it done. But let me come to Madam Patience, who has already shared so much. And at the risk of sounding like Oliver Twist, we're going to be asking for a bit more. We'd like you to please share, some of the lessons that you've seen that have shaped your journey, just looking back. We've heard about your journey, but if you were to share some nuggets, some lessons, some crucial lessons that have shaped your journey, in addition to what you've shared with us, what would it be, ma'am?
I'm thinking what lessons. Well, the first lesson, the crucial lesson, which made my journey long, I would say, is naivety. I was so naive, all trusting, and I believe I used to believe what comes out of people's mouth, and I was burnt several times over, which was part of what I didn't share. And that was the number one lesson. Naivety, which created mistakes, and trust, which made me fall several times over in the process of my growth, like the seasons of winter where the bulbs go to sleep and spring they sprout out again. It was just, I was burned so many times, and it was naivety. Something I did not share while I was on stage, because I realized I was just going on. I needed to hold myself back. Among the achievements, I don't like us to dwell in the past. If you want to know more about things, I'm open to encourage anybody who needs me to encourage them. I didn't share that today. I am also the first Black person from sub-Saharan Africa to be in Harrods. Harrods wrote to me. Wow. Harrods buys Torlowei to sell. It's not a concession. They own what they buy. And Torlowei is one of the few brands that never go in the sales. It's always sold out. And another thing, I own 2 factories in Africa. I made sure all my production will happen from Africa, which was the reason why God kept bringing me back. It was for that knowledge transfer. No one is going to teach us what we need to know. Don't be deceived by any European that come here, or we are coming to teach. Yes, if a business is smart, you can engage these Europeans because they have knowledge to transfer. You engage them for a limited time, and then find one of us that will understudy them and take over what they have learned, taught us, and then we take it up from there. We rough it up, but we'll make it. I am the first registered lingerie manufacturing company in Nigeria. I started training people how to make brassiere many years ago. I was appointed head of AGOA for Nigeria. I prepared a business plan, but I am not a politician. I had to resign and give back their thing because they refused to listen to my advice. But today, everything will happen in God's perfect time, which is not our time. I don't have a lot to leave in this world. Where I'm going to is much closer. But I have a succession plan
which most women don't do. We always think about the now. You must have a succession plan. If you don't have that in place, most of the institutions will not take you seriously, especially the financial institution like Stanbic. You are going to ask for money for business, and they are only hearing how you're talking about this, that, and then you divert the money buying expensive bags and buying Torlowei when it's not the time. Because some say Torlowei is too expensive. We are not expensive. We are costly. And we created Torlowei to be a global player, to eat from the global revenue in the fashion space. I have a factory in Morocco, fully funded and run by me. In Nigeria, I have a factory. There are more things about to happen. You will hear that later.
Okay, I love it. And we're ready for the more things. You know when they say more to come, stay glued to the page because there's more to come. You know, something I particularly like about Madam Patient is how that she just calmly tells us about her achievement. She's just very calm and telling you, I'm the first black in the world. And you're just like, she's just dropping them, boom, boom, boom. And you know, maybe that's something that women need to learn when it comes to pitching, when it comes to even talking about her work. Because she did it. That's who she is. I mean, if you put it on Google, that's who she is. But sometimes you're like, I am the first. How would they see this? You are the first though. My sister, tell somebody beside you, you are the first though. It is what it is. And as you speak about it, it opens more opportunities and comes back to what Derry is going to teach us in the masterclass about communication. And, you know, it's not just talking about what you do and talking about your achievement. There's a quote that I love so much. It says that when we shine, we give other people the permission to shine. And so when she tells me what she's done, she inspires me to say that if she has done it, I can do it. That's what happens. So it's not just saying it, no. When you tell me you've done it, I say, wow, you did it, you're Nigerian. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to break that record. And I thank you so much, ma'am, for exemplifying that in the course of your speaking. All right, so to the next person, I'm going to be asking Madam Eunice this time around. You know, you've talked about some of the mindset, some of the habits that you've had to use that have helped you to break barriers to get to the top. What lessons would you like to share with women who want to grow in corporate spaces without losing themselves? They want to be authentic to themselves. I like how that you've built a niche for yourself, you know, in your work. But for women who are in some space and they want to grow when it comes to corporate spaces, but they don't want to lose themselves, what nuggets, what lessons would you like to share with them, please?
So first things, know yourself. I find that a lot of women don't know who they are. I wear my red hair proudly. I do not wear Ankara. I'm either in Ankara, I'm either in Adire, I'm either in Ashoke. I am always proudly wearing something Nigerian. I defined that for me. So define what success means to you, because success to everybody else is different. You may not be bold enough to carry red hair, but I carry it everywhere, and I am beautifully and wonderfully created with my red hair. Some people don't like it, but I walk into boardrooms and I speak to managing partners, managing directors, and this is me. My work, though, backs it up. So you need to define who you are. And when you do that, make sure that you are proud and carry it with a badge. I find that as women, we don't do that often, right? So sorry guys, I had to make sure that I put down a few notes. So you can be powerful and soft. So you can still be very powerful and soft. Because they say that as women, you know, we're supposed to be really dainty and, no. You can be powerful and very soft. So remember that, right? And I think that's very important. Don't shrink to fit. I'm so sorry. Do not shrink to fit. If you do not fit, you're in the wrong room. So can you please leave? So do not shrink, do not make yourself smaller than you have to be. And I think one of the things that you just said is that, honestly, be unapologetically you. I am who I am. You may not like it, and that's okay. But be unapologetically Eunice Adeyemi. So say it to yourself. I am unapologetically. There you go. So, and then resist, right? So we need to rest, guys. So a badge of honor is not being tired. We need to rest. As women, find that resting place. What is it? It may be your hair, your nails, your pedicure, something besides taking care of the brother, the sister, the husband, the sibling, the business. You need to rest. You need to rest to rejuvenate who you are, because you cannot be whole if you haven't rested. So for me, those are some of the things that I've learned. If you want to come into the space and own it, then you need to remember, you need to come into this space knowledgeable, you need to come into this place rested, you need to come into this space unapologetically yourself, right? And own what it is that you do. Be proud of who you are. I find that we shrink, our shoulders are so down and we're not, no, be proud of who you are. Even if you haven't done it yet, be proud that you started the journey, right? And so for me, that would be what I would share with you guys today.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I like what you particularly said. It's okay to clap, please. Go ahead. It ties up with what Madam Edidiong said when she was talking about how that the woman is always usually looking out for every other person, but we need to also look out for ourselves. I mean, it's good to look out for other people, but who is looking out for you? So you need to also look out for yourself. Thank you for sharing with us. Now I'm coming to, let me come to Dairy this time around. So I'll go here, come back here, just for a bit of versatility, also for a bit of engagement, diversity rather. All right. So to Madam Dairy, you've spoken about how communication helps us. How can women practically, just give us a little bit of it before the main meal at the masterclass. How can we overcome nervousness when speaking in high-stakes situations? How can we overcome nervousness? Practical scenario. After this segment, because we've encouraged people, we've hyped people, I know that people are going to be walking up to themselves, they're going to be walking up to the panelists and they want to, pitch themselves, talk about what they say. But there's that bit of how, because there's a bit of nervousness sometimes. How can we overcome that?
Okay, so I like to start inside out.
Okay.
Sometimes it could be imposter syndrome. It could be a thing of, oh, am I enough? How do I approach this person? Oh, he schooled or he studied at MIT, Harvard, and I maybe went to, I don't know, one university somewhere down the road. So again, I like to start with anybody that I speak with, my clients and all. I like to start inside out. And I'd like everyone to say with me, I am, repeat after me please, I am a person of worth and value.
Of worth and value.
Fantastic. So when you know that whatever stage you find yourself, in the country, outside of the country, you know that you have valuable knowledge to share. And that's number one. Number two, prepare. Confidence always comes from a place of preparation and consistent practice. And finally, I'd say, do it afraid. Do it afraid. Do it afraid, and then begin with seemingly small stages. Begin with unmuting your microphone at work. Yes, begin with unmuting your microphone at work. Begin with speaking up at your virtual meetings, in your religious gatherings, at home, at work, and then you can gradually move up to addressing a larger audience. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dairy. Thank you so much. So she says that begin now. Begin with unmuting your microphone, because after this segment, we're going to open it up to about 1 or 2 questions, right? And this is your opportunity to raise your hands very quickly. Not now, but we're going to take about 1 or 2 questions, and we perhaps may do first come, first served. So it may be on the basis of first come, first served. So this may be your moment. Maybe you've been thinking, how will I ask these questions? How will I ask it? This is what Darian has said. Begin with unmuting your microphone. Begin with raising your hand. Thank you so much, Darian. I'm coming to Madam Oladele now. You've talked to us In fact, you've even jumped into that conversation. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on, because you spoke about how that we can take our financial future, so to speak, into our hands. How can women regain confidence in their financial journey in terms of practical, simple actions that we can take now, things that we can act on?
Okay, the first thing I would say is there's a basic formula that if you see anyone that is successful, just check the formula is there. Is that they earn, they save, and they invest. So you have to find a way to make money. That's how you earn. The money that you make, you have to put some away because you have to live now, so you will spend. So nobody's saying don't spend. So the money you make, you save some. Now that saving, think of it as planting. When you save, think of it as the seed. Then in investing is planting that seed. Now we know that if you plant a seed for an apple tree or whatever tree, it's usually tiny. But once you plant it, you water it, give it time. When it finally blossoms and blooms, you have a tree, but it produces every year. That's the idea around investing. But it takes time. And think of it, if you plant that seed and you go and dig it out, what happens? That's what happens when you eat your investments. Yeah? So I'm trying to make it relatable. Why? Because what to do is in front of us, but we don't connect what we have in our pockets to it. Now that's the mindset. The second thing is the actual how to do it. Number one, once you get your income, put away your investment amount immediately, your savings amount immediately. Don't say, when I finish spending, what is left? Take out something, even if it's 1,000 naira, whatever it is that you can do. Have one, and we can open bank accounts everywhere now. So just open a bank account and let that bank account be your future money account. If you can do it, no ATM attached to that account. Just let it be far from you, because we need some level of discipline. And so if salary comes on the 24th and you've said it's 2K, move it to that 2K account, right? You have started the journey. It might look like small, but I put it to you, if you eat that money and at the end of the year you have zero, even if you would have saved 10K, 10K is better than zero. So we've done that. Now the next thing is investing, which is where a lot of women get caught. I recommend that before you go into interesting things that you don't really understand, go for the regulated things. There are mutual funds that you don't have to understand. Somebody's paid to understand and do the work for you. Those little things that your 10K qualifies. Nigerian savings bond, your 10K qualifies. They will collect your money. They will not look at it with disdain, right? And every month, for example, the savings bond comes every month. They're at 18% right now. That is a good rate for your 5K. It's very good, right? What they are saying is that you're almost going to get 1,000 naira on 5,000. That's a lot of money, right? So we have talked about the mindset. We're talking about the action. Number one, put the money away. First, that money you put away, put it in one account. If you get interest, let that interest go to that same account. And so that at every point in time, you are looking at that account and saying, this is my future money. And you are thinking, what do I do? And finally, learn. Just put your mind at it, because I always tell people you work from 20 to 60 if you're a 9-to-5er. The money you make in 20 to 60 is what's supposed to fund you post-retirement. So between your pension that comes to you, the amount that comes to you, and whatever you have done, so this season of work, there's something you need to do to make sure that you have resources post-retirement. So get educated. Like, I've seen some women give themselves 1 year. Every day I'm watching a video. Every day I'm asking questions. Every day, and at a point they begin to, it enters them. Do you understand? They understand. So those are the things I would say. And they are practical.
I like the analogy you used. Thank you so much. The seed, I'm planting the seed. So good. Moving very quickly, I'd come to Dr. Tikolo. Now, you've told us about the need to for people to be able to identify when they're learning disabilities early on. Can you speak to how that, identifying and nurturing the learning needs of a child can help, with shaping their future success? And I'd like you to tie that up with any final words that you want to say to parents or, caregivers or, different stakeholders who are watching now.
Thank you so much. Wow, such a deep one, and it rests on what education is. I know we like to think of education as grades and achievements and certificates, but education should really prepare a child for life. Okay, think of it as preparing a child for the universe rather than the university. And when you look at it
rather than university, I love it.
So when you look at it that way, the conversation changes, especially for children that have some difficulty. Because we really like to just label, but education should help with building resilience, especially emotional resilience. Education should help with helping the child become fully into his person. Identity is important. Okay? And yes, education should also help you build financial independence. But when you look at labeling and calling the child all sorts of names, then you realize that we're back to where we started, which is early identification. Early identification will take you to early knowledge of what works for that child. So early empowerment. And when you do that, you help the child build self-confidence. Because when their self-esteem plummets, nothing is going to happen. What you want to do is preserve the self-esteem. And so when you're looking at financial stability, for instance, or independence as we grow, I mean, dyslexics are intelligent. Dyslexia does not affect intelligence. And I can reel out names of successful people, like you said, that are dyslexic. But if you look behind all of that, they had early support. Support is important because without support, the child will fall in through the cracks. The child would become emotionally disengaged from school. It will drop out emotionally. We have a case where children drop out physically. But you can be in school and drop out emotionally. And, the child cannot attain their full potential. So it's important that you identify early, you're giving the right support, you are helping the child build resilience and emotional resilience. And of course, if you look at that emotional resilience, when you identify early, you also take the child away from all the psychological damage that could come from unaddressed difficulties. All right, so whether it's anxiety, panic attacks, it's depression, all of the gamut of emotional struggle, you will take that away when you identify early. So we have to move away, from the point where we say, you're not doing well, to what is stopping you from learning? What is that barrier? What is standing in the way? And how can I help you? Okay. We have to move away from thinking one size fits everyone, because it doesn't. We're all different, specially made, and find what works. Every child must feel supported, welcome, and, acknowledged. Okay. So at the end of the day, education must provide a nurturing for that child. Education should not be about academics alone. It's about nurturing the child to be whoever they want to be. It's providing them with the tools that they need, to succeed in the future on their own terms. So early identification, if you can't say, enough, identify early, see something, say something, do something.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. She's still emphasizing the need for early identification. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me quickly come to Madam Edidiong, and I'm going to run very quickly, and then I'll finally come to Madam Patience, and then we close up with perhaps one question if we have the time to take it. So, ma'am, you work in an organization that is committed to helping people prepare for the future. what would you say are some of the practical steps that women can take, to gain more clarity, confidence, and control over their retirement journey? And how does Stanbic IBTC pension managers support that process? So it's a 2-in-1 question.
Okay, so the first thing I'll say is if you don't have a retirement savings account, go and open one. And you can open one with Stanbic IBTC Pension. We're happy to have you. If you are an entrepreneur, we do have the micro pension plan so that you can actually open an individual account into which you can pay money. Now, how is that going to help you? What the retirement savings account does, and if I ask everybody in this room, for those of you that have a retirement savings account, you will find that it is the largest pool of money you have anywhere in savings. It's enforced savings. So it's an easy way to save money that you cannot touch until you are retired. Open a retirement savings account. Most of us have a lot of money in our retirement because our employers have been putting the money there. If we had access to that money, perhaps we would have used it to buy bag, shoe. Somebody would have had a problem. Somebody needs financing for something, and you would pull out the money. So it's enforced savings. So if you don't have one, go and get one, because it's a pillar of your retirement, right? Go and get one. The second thing I would say is, please, no matter how small it is, put in money. For those of you that work with employers, where your employer is funding, you can do more. Take out some more money and put in that account. Like I said earlier, I was challenged by my own colleague when I saw the balance in her account. And why was she doing that? We have something on our website, which is like a pension calculator, that you can go and put in different indices. If I want to earn this amount in retirement, how much do I need to be contributing and all of that? So she had done that and had decided she wanted to earn a particular amount, and so she was putting in the money that she needed to see in that account for that purpose. So that's another thing that you can do. That calculator is available on our website. Please go and use it, and it will help you figure out a couple of things. And then there's, like she said, you have to get informed. This work, it's only you that can do it for yourself. You have to get informed. So please take advantage of information that is out there available to you on our website. There's not just our website. You go to the National Pension Commission website if you wish, you get more information. At Stanbic IBC, we do what we call financial fitness academies. We also have there's a money seminar we do for kids and all of that. If you are a client of Stanbic IBTC, please take advantage of our financial fitness academies, where we talk through a whole range, because we pride ourselves on being an institution that takes you from cradle to grave. So we talk about a whole range of products and a whole range of investment products that are available to you. Please take advantage of the financial fitness sessions. And if I didn't say it before, if you're not with Stanbic IBTC, you're on a long thing. So please, we're happy to welcome you to Stanbic IBTC and to work with you and partner with you to ensure that you retire well.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And this is a practical way to do it. I mean, there are a lot of people who are around who you can ask questions. Stanbic IBTC is here. So you can ask questions, you can clarify gray areas. Perhaps there are some challenges that you have. Perhaps this is why you've not gotten fully involved in planning for the future. Please don't leave this event without sorting out everything. All right, we're going to have questions now. We can only take 2 questions because of time. And this is how we'll do it for some inclusion. One from this side of the hall, these 2 parts together, and then these 2 parts together. 2 questions. If you want to ask, I can already see one hand up. There's a hand over there. That's the first hand I saw. And then, thank you, ma'am. She's already standing. Okay. I didn't see who raised their hands first. But let's take the lady in front here, and then we take the person at the back. I apologize. We may not be able to. All right.
Good morning. Thank you for the program today. We have learned quite a lot. And I want to ask a question to, I want to nickname her Madam Financial Analyst. Okay. Yeah. Growing up at that time, we were told about stock buying and investing in shares, and we did a lot that time when we were new in service. And for some times now, we've not been hearing anything about them, about those stocks. And lately, some of them came on board again and now started maybe emailing us, telling us, okay, fill this form so that you get your dividend. And to my amazement, sometimes you see bam bam on your phone, alert to come in to be 22 naira 30 kobo. Say, what are these ones for? So I don't know what you want to advise us to do about that. And okay, and then even now, what do we do to make shares or buying of stock, make it an investment? That's where I'm going to. Okay, because I have a younger brother also at that time that said, thank God, God helped her. God helped him that at that time, before everything crashed, that he sold all his shares and used it to relocate, to start life in another part of the country. So he will always say it now. And then we that did not sell off our own, we are like, are we at loss? What is happening? Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So we'll take the second one and we'll just take them together. There's a lady who is standing in black. If we could please get a microphone to her very quickly.
Okay, thank you so much for this amazing event. My question is to Mrs. Patience Torlowei. So I mean, your story has been very inspiring, honestly, and I can relate, right? I started my career in marketing, communications, and advertising, but along the way, God sort of redirected my steps to using the gifts that He gave me, which is writing, to actually serve Him. And then I recently got to publish my book, right? But then there's this place of, having to start all over again, because you already know a particular path, right? For me, I'd building my career for like 6-7 years, and then now all of a sudden I'm having to start all over from scratch, right? And then there's also this part of you think your family members would support you, but then somehow you don't, or your friends rather, you don't seem to be getting that support that you think you get from them. And then it's almost like outsiders are really supporting what you're starting with. So how are you able to navigate having to start all over your target audience, with respect to your business, and just a shift of mindset of, oh, I think my family members will do it for me, but it's people outside that would actually do it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, so we start from your question and then we go to Madam Patience.
Okay, so the question I believe is, how do we, the investments you previously had, how do you gather them together? So the first thing is go and open a stockbroking account right now. Things have changed from that time. So you can have all your stocks on an app that you can see. I presume that if you had enough for someone to sell and relocate, it means there's some significant amount somewhere that all your past dividends that you've not claimed, once you gather everything together, you get a good alert in your account. So go to a stockbroker. Stanbic has a stockbroking arm. So go to a stockbroker and open a stockbroking account, and all the details you have on those stocks, anything you can find. In fact, just your name, they can find everything, get the stocks back into your account, and you get all your unclaimed dividend.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, Madam Patience, the last question.
Thank you for your question. First off, I will ask you a question. Like I said in my speech, if you are going through a situation, understanding your situation is very important, and knowing why you have to go through that. You may be doing what is not what you're meant to be. I shared that I wanted to be a lawyer or a detective. I wasted 2 years. I didn't go to school because I wasn't getting what I wanted, but because that wasn't my path. And at the point where I returned to start all over again after losing my family and everything I owned on earth, I don't know, I just started. And if you are doing what you are called to do, in my belief, at every given point, when you face a situation, God will show up. If you are doing what you are called to do, I'll give example. If you are hopscotching, a lot of Nigerians, in my observation, they are not focused on their own internal vision. They are easily distracted by the noise. If you put yourself in a tunnel and you are sure what you're doing, that is what you are called to do. That is what the inner person in you is desperately hungry to do. Nobody promised that it will be easy, but you will succeed. But a lot of people want to do what the next person is doing. 1 minute, you are doing one thing. You are struggling. It's not coming that easy. But the person next door is just started some, and then next thing, because they're making good noise, like the social media, they are good in they are faking it, like you say, fake it till you make it sometimes. Then you get distracted by your own vision. And you say, oh, let me do that as well. Maybe I will succeed. Then you find that you've lost on this side, and you are going to lose on that side. And I speak in my industry. There are so many fashion designers, including myself, that are copied so badly. It hurts. It used to hurt me. Now, I just laugh. I said, it means I'm doing something nice, worthy of being copied. And I don't blame the copier. By all means, go ahead. You are distracting yourself because what I'm doing is coming from my brain. But you think you've copied this. What are you going to copy tomorrow? And it's not the copier. If you're not doing anything good, nobody wants to know. It is the person encouraging that by patronizing that is the one to be ashamed of herself. Because you wear it and pretend to be what you are not. That is faking your life. So there is something for everyone at every level. Be authentically who you are. And in your business, I don't know if I've answered your question. Did I answer your question?
Yes, please, you have.
Okay. If you need more, you can meet me privately, and I will help the best I can.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Please, can we give a round of applause to all our panelists who have been very generous with their insights? We're closing now. I hope that you've gotten something from the panel. I mean, there have been diverse speakers. Some of them have reiterated certain points, such as, being confident, speaking up for yourself, such as growing, such as being authentically yourself, such as when it comes to children, paying attention to them, and so many insights that we've shared on this stage. And very important, planning for the future and taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself in different aspects, blooming into more, whether it is physically, whether it is health-wise, whether it is financially, so many aspects of it. So we're going to close at this point. We're going to take quick photographs, and then I'll invite you to please, once again, be very generous with your applause as we celebrate our panelists. Thank you so much, ma'am. All right, so we'll take pictures, and we're done with the panel discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for our panelists. All right, we'd ask our panelists to please step outside at the risk of sounding like Oliver Twist. Please step outside for some pictures. Ushers will guide you as you go outside. Thank you so much. Blooming! Bloom! It's as if we've forgotten, what's happening? Refresher. Bloom! Bloom into more, and there's more to come. But to just give us closing remarks, now this is not the end of it, but this is just a segment. This is a segment that closes this part of it. We're still going into the Masterclass. But this is the Ladies at the Table Empowerment Series. And to give us closing remarks here, please welcome to the stage, with a generous round of applause, the Executive Director, Business and Development, Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers, Madam Nike Bajamo. A round of applause.
Okay, so Nick is not available today, so you guys are going to have to make do with me. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think it's been a wonderful time. Every time we come together like this, and if you saw the information that was put out there, it said when women gather, magic happens. And as far as I'm concerned, magic happened today because there were things, insights that were burst, there were things that you remembered. You know, there was inspiration that came from the sessions. So thank you so much. We've really had a powerful time today. So as we bring this part of the session to a close, I want us to take a moment to reflect not just on the conversations that we have had, but on the energy that filled the room. There was authenticity, there was courage, there was connection. Our theme, Season of Growth, reminds us that life is made up of phases, some filled with clarity, some with questions, but through every season, one thing remains true. You have the power to shape your future. The power is in your hands. And that includes your financial future, your security, your legacy, and your retirement. Too often, women postpone financial planning, especially retirement planning, because you're focused on caring for everybody else. And you feel it's too complex. But here's the truth. Take control of your retirement. It's one of the most empowering things you can do. And just take it one day at a time, one step at a time. It's not just about saving money. It's about buying yourself peace of mind and dignity for the years ahead. At Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers, we're here to walk that journey with you through every season, whether you are starting your career, running your own business, taking a career break, or preparing for retirement. We offer tools and solutions to support your goals. From voluntary contributions that can help you grow your savings at your own pace, I spoke about it earlier, even if it's 1,000 extra you're doing every month, the power of compound interest will work in your favor. To micro pension plans which are designed for women in informal sector and entrepreneurial spaces. And I will say that as an industry, the pension industry is really looking at the micro pension plan and looking for solutions that we can tailor to women. There are a lot of things in the offing. Please don't miss out on it. If you don't have an account now, please go and open one. We are committed to meeting you where you are, and we're not just offering products, we're offering education, clarity, and community. So as we leave the room today, I want to encourage you to do 3 things. 1, get informed, ask questions, know your pension status, take action, start small if you must, but just start. If you haven't started, the best time to start is now. Stay connected, Stay connected with each other, stay connected with platforms like LATTES and all of that. Take advantage of these kind of meetings where women come together and discuss issues, because we get inspiration at this sort of sessions. Because when a woman is financially prepared, she's powerful, not just for herself, but for her family and for generations to come. Thank you for showing up fully, for sharing your stories, and for being open to growth, not just in your careers, in your relationships, but in your financial lives as well. May you live here rooted in confidence, inspired to act, and equipped to thrive in every season. Stay prepared, stay empowered, and remember, your retirement is not a someday conversation. It starts now. Thank you, and see you at the next LATTES.
Speaking about staying connected, don't forget to be a part of this platform. Once you go on the website, you will see that feature that says join the community. Please click on it. Join the community. Join a community of like-minded people. And then you can explore offerings on discount. You can explore offerings that are suited to whatever you do. You know, women need network. Women need to relate with one another. We need to thrive together. We need to build together. So I'd encourage you to go on the website and join this community. Again, I'll mention the website for the sake of those who haven't gotten it yet. Blue Blossom. Blue is B-L-U-E. Blue Blossom.stanbicibtc.com. Maybe you want to send it to a friend. You want to send it to someone who wants to be a part of it. All right, please do that. Share it. And don't forget, all the lovely pictures that you take and all the lovely things that you do, don't forget to tag Stanbic IBTC across social media platforms. Tag Stanbic ITC at Stanbic IBTC. And you can also use the hashtag Bloom Weekend 2025 and hashtag Stanbic IBTC as well. Hashtag Bloom Weekend 2025 and hashtag Stanbic IBTC. Are you having a good time? Where is that energy? Why is it that it's the people here that are giving me that energy? I'm going to go to the other side. Are you cold? You're cold. Okay. Exercise, quick exercise. Let's get on our feet. Let's get on our feet. Because I just noticed some people are doing like this. Let's get on our feet. Let's get on our feet. All right. Let's get on our feet. Okay, give somebody a high five. Give somebody a warm hug. We're trying to get the hits now. Give somebody a warm hug before we go into the masterclass. All right, give somebody a high five. Tell somebody hello. This is the moment to network before we go into the masterclass. So give somebody a high five. Tell somebody hello. Give 5 people, not just one person. 5 people. You can go to 10. You can go to 20. You can go to 30. Yes. By the time you finish shaking people and hugging people, the cold will disappear. Have you given 10 people a high five? Are you still cold? No, you need to get up and do this more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the next segment? Okay, but before we do that, please bring out your mobile devices. Bring out your phones. Are your phones out? The phones are not out at the back. Oh, I can't see the phones. Bring out your phones. Put it on selfie mode. Is it on selfie mode? I want you to stretch your hands as far as they can go. And I want you to capture a beautiful picture of yourself and the people around you. Everybody. Ooh, thank you, ma'am. I can see people joining us from young to old, being a part of this. Capture a beautiful picture. Have you captured a beautiful picture? Okay, we're going to do it together. When I say bloom, you say. Okay, you can even set it on video mode. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? All right, let's go. Bloom. Bloom. Amazing. All right. With this exercise, I'm sure you are feeling warm now. Please take your seats. Thank you. Don't forget to put that picture everywhere and tag Stanbic IBTC. Tag Stanbic IBTC. Let the world know that Stanbic IBTC is organizing the Bloom Weekend. Without further ado, ladies, please welcome to the stage for the first master class on building a business in Nigeria from the ground up, Ore Lawani. A round of applause. So we're going to be going into the first one. Let me quickly remind you that there are two master classes, brief, about 20 minutes each, short but very powerful, short but very profound. And to bring us, the message and to inspire and to guide us and teach us for the first masterclass, ladies and gentlemen, on building a business from the ground up, please welcome Ore Lawani. A round of applause.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Yes, how's everything been today? Are you having a good day? Good, 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 good. Well, my name is Torlowei. I'm the founder of a skincare brand based right here in Lagos, Nigeria called Arami. And I'll be hosting a masterclass right now called Bloom into More. So, can everybody see the slides? I can move this way so that you can see it better. Okay, hi again. Yes, my name is Torlowei, and I'm very happy to be here. So as I mentioned, I'll be hosting a masterclass today called Bloom into More and the journey behind the business. So here we have Ore Runshewe. That's my maiden name. Lawani is actually my marital name, so that's not Ore Lawani, that's Ore Runshewe. And the first thing I really want us to talk about is the fact that sometimes we move into different places, even when we're not sure where we're going. So for me, I moved to Nigeria back in 2013. I was in my 20s, and I actually had never lived in Nigeria before, which a lot of people always find shocking. Never lived here. I was born and raised in the UK, in London. But for me, when I was in my 20s, after university, I had started working in PR and communications, and there was just a nudge within me that my purpose and my destiny was just not in London. And you can imagine that sounded very crazy to my father, who was very happy with the fact that I had grown up in London and lived there. And now I was saying I wanted to move to Nigeria. But I followed the nudge against what some other people thought was crazy, but I also did have some people that did support me. And I moved here with no clear plan, no business idea. I didn't even know anything about the fact that I was going to start Arami at that time. I just had a nudge within me that this was where I needed to be. And I decided to go with it. Then, for me, that feeling was really reminiscent of a few moments in my life where I realized that something within me, which I now know is God, the Holy Spirit, was nudging me into a new place. And it reminded me of a time when I was starting a new job, and I really, really wanted that job. This was back when I was still working in London. And the company just felt very much like where I wanted to work, and I felt like God was actually calling me there. So I applied, I got an internship, and in my first week of working there, they offered me a full-time role. Well, they pretty much told me that your internship is meant to be for 3 months, but we love your experience, we love how you're doing, how you've been doing for the last 5 days, and we have this position open, and we want you to apply, and because you already work here, you stand a good chance. Long story short, I ended up getting the job, and I worked there for a bit of time. That was right before I moved to Nigeria. So this feeling reminded me of the same thing. So I got on a plane, and I moved to Nigeria, and the rest is history. You know, sometimes in life, because I'll go back again to like my university experience, I studied computer science at the University of Manchester, and even when I was studying, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But my degree was also in business management, and I took a few modules in marketing. And there was a nudge within me that, Ore, there's something in marketing that is for you. I didn't know anything about marketing, but through that nudge, I began to ask questions, research, find out more about this area. So really what I'm really just trying to say here is that sometimes when you are needing to move, it doesn't always seem logical, but obedience usually lays the foundation for something great. What really looked like uncertainty to Ore Runshewe, her, was the beginning of deep alignment and ended up with me. So if anybody here is feeling a nudge to do something, be it big, be it small, be it in this country, be it in another country, maybe it's to change industries, maybe it's to start a business, I would say follow that nudge. Even if it's one small decision, just follow the nudge. So next, built while building. Now, what do I really mean when I say built while building? A lot of the time, we find that when we step into a new era in our lives, a new chapter, we are usually built, like something is building us internally while we are building something. A lot of the time, people ask me, how did you go from her to who you are now? And I say that the journey was actually me being refined in the process of building my business. So sometimes you will not move to the next place in your life, even personally, until you make a decision, a step in a new direction in your professional life. So building Arami. Here's a little SWOT analysis on the things I pretty much saw right when I started building Arami. Just a quick recap on how I actually stumbled on the business. So I had been living in Nigeria for about 2 years, working in PR, communications, marketing, and so on. And I really began to see that I was not finding the cosmetics, the skincare that I had been used to using when I didn't live in Nigeria. So I found that what I needed to do was to really understand what it was within Nigeria and the African continent that could be used on my skin. I didn't want to have to wait to travel or buy crazy priced imported products. I wanted to find something that I could use locally. I then started using things myself, mixing butters, oils, scrubs, and so on. And I really enjoyed using it. And it was actually the people around me that would always take my products away from me. And then somebody eventually one day said to me, Ora, have you ever thought about starting a business? So sometimes we have to look within. Maybe there's something you're doing very casually, maybe it's a hobby, or something you're just passionate about. It might be the start of something new. So here's a SWOT analysis of what I saw in the market that led me to build. So for strengths, I saw that there were a lot of untapped local ingredients, cultural relevance, agile innovation. These were all things that made me think there's a reason why my business can succeed. If we look at the weaknesses, these will kind of tell us what are the challenges you might face in terms of building. Infrastructure gaps, regulatory hurdles, capital access. Then what are the opportunities? What are the things that, okay, you can see something that is a strength, but is there a long-term, prosperity in this thing? Rising demand for African-owned businesses, tech-enabled scaling, and diaspora interests. And then the threats. What are the things that could kill your business at any given time and might make you scared? Economic instability, supply chain volatility, and copycats. But despite all of this, what happened? I built anyway. And sometimes you have to do it no matter what the environment looks like. Sometimes you just have to build. Building a manufacturing business, beauty business in Nigeria, required a lot of stretching. I had to become more strategic, more discerning, and way more disciplined. Discipline, vision, and patience, and total dependence on God is really where I felt my story grow. Blooming into more. Depth, direction, and faith. So here's a quote about why I think, or what really happens in terms of blooming. And, there's a little illustration at the bottom of the page, which I love. It shows growth. It shows that sometimes you can have a seed, and on day one, it might really just look like a seed. But what happens when you plant something, and you water it, and you nurture it? It becomes something beautiful. So finally, here are some internal takeaways and practical takeaways for you if you're looking for more of an opportunity into how you're going to bloom into more. So internally, sometimes blooming into more is not just about going faster or doing more. Sometimes it's about going deeper. There's something that has really been on my mind recently, which is about focus. Sometimes you can be the jack of all trades and a master of none. Sometimes you need to get into one thing. Sometimes it's okay to just be doing one thing, but do that one thing really well, and that might be your game changer. Purpose and pace matter more than pressure. It's so important to be steadfast. Sometimes you find that you're running, and then you're out of breath. Have you ever thought about taking it one step at a time? Faith-shaped values, leadership, and decision-making. Sometimes these things can be countercultural, and sometimes the world will even tell you you're crazy. But you have to think about what you really value, whether it's based on your faith, whether it's based on the way you were raised, or whether it's based on what you truly believe as a person. Go with those things, because I can tell you something. If you go in that direction based on those values that you hold in the highest importance, you will always be fulfilled by what you're doing. You will never ever regret a decision that you made. You will never feel that you made the wrong decision because it was based on something. And show up even when you don't feel ready. I know that somebody here might not think it's true, but I'm always so nervous when I have to talk to people, talk in public, and get on the stage. And one of my friends asked me yesterday, she's like, Ora, you do these things so seamlessly. How do you do it? And I would say that for me, I rely a lot on God, and I also feel that sometimes you just have to get up and do what you need to do, no matter the way that you feel inside. Emotions are temporary. The way you feel is fleeting. But getting onto the other side is the gateway to so many great things in your life. So that's the inside. What about the practical things? What are the practical things that can help you bloom into more, especially when starting a business or going into the next stage of your career? The right team. You are nothing without the right team. Nothing. It's better to actually stay as a one-man business if you're not going to build the right team. And when I say the right team, there's something that I think is really, really critical. Don't hire people that are yes men or women. Don't hire people that are not better than you at something. Hire the people that are better than you. Hire the people that are going to challenge the decisions that you make, because they may be the ones that can take your business and your life to the next level. Knowledge about the customer and the market. There is absolutely no point having a business if you do not know who you're speaking to or the market that you're operating in. So do some research. If you haven't started your business, do it before you start. If you've already started, it's never too late. You can always pivot, you can always refine what you're doing, but you need to know who you're speaking to before you speak. Tech and data for efficiency and effectiveness. I would actually say it's effectiveness more than efficiency. It's more important to do the right things every day than to do many things every day. So be more focused on efficiency, be more focused on effectiveness than efficiency. Be adaptable but anchored. Remember your values. Remember the things that make you do what you're doing. Anchor yourself in those things, but always be adaptable, always be agile, because the world is changing every single day. And finally, design for both margin and meaning. There is no point having a business if it is not profitable, or there's no road to profitability. And there is also no point having a business that is based on vibes and energy. Marry the two and keep them at the top of your mind always. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I wanted to find out if there are any questions. I'd love to answer any questions that anybody may have. So if you can please raise your hand, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Okay. Okay, so take one here. Yes. Here.
Okay, thank you very much, Arami. That was so impactful. But I wanted to ask you, have you ever, at any point on your journey, had a stop? Like a mini stop? Yes. And how were you able to pass through that?
Yeah, great question, and thank you for asking. I would say in thinking back on my business journey, I've had at least 2 stops. The first stop came in the COVID year. So I actually had 2 stops within that year. The first stop was in May of 2020 when we had to close down our factory and all of our operations because of the lockdown. That was really traumatic, to be honest, because at that point, and I'm sure a lot of people in this hall can relate, you begin to question everything and wonder what is going to happen in your life. What we did at that time was we carried on. So I would go to the factory, because the factory then was actually behind my house. I'm calling it a factory, but it wasn't really a factory back then. It was a room. But it was actually at the back of my house. And I would just go there myself every day, nobody else in the office, just me, obviously, because I couldn't get there. And I would just keep doing. And I think therapeutically that helped me to navigate through that period. But I also, at that point, also began to understand that life is really about seasons. And even though I couldn't see the end of COVID at that point in time, I knew that it would come to an end. So sometimes I think in a period of where you feel like you're stopping, you have to keep going. Even if it's just one thing that you do. At that point, I was just honestly packing black soap into containers. It wasn't going to anybody, it was just sitting on the shelf. But I was finding rest and peace in something that somebody would say would have no meaning, because you don't know when the next time when your factory is going to reopen. And, you know, thank God it reopened maybe a month or 2 after. However, that was how I got through that period. I did mundane things, and I also prayed and felt that the season would change at some point in time. Now, towards the end of that year, 2020, I had another stop because I experienced what I guess people call today burnout, where you're just like, I can't function anymore. And that was because, so after the factory reopened, you know, COVID year was a big year for anybody in the wellness industry, because that was when everybody was at home and wanted to like learn how to take care of their skin, their body, and all those kinds of things. So after the factory reopened, we had probably the most accelerated 6-month period of my business so far. And it was so tiring. Like it was draining. It was, I remember on December 24th, because that was our last working day for the year, that year. And I remember saying to somebody that if anybody says the word Arami to me again, I'm going to probably go crazy, because I was just so exhausted and I really couldn't carry on anymore at that point. But what I did at that point was I took time off. And you know, it doesn't sound cool and like a boss babe move to say you need to take time off, but it's so important to rest. And it was actually at that point that my working life changed forever. That was 2020, Arami started in 2016, right? So for 4 years, I was working, and for the first 2.5 years, I still had a job. I was working my 9 to 5 and doing Arami after work and in the morning before I had to go to work. So I was doing that back to back for 2.5 years. Then for 1.5 years, I was only doing Arami, but because I now needed to prove that Arami could stand and I could easily not have a job anymore, I was working around the clock, I was working weekends, I was working evenings, I wasn't going anywhere, I wasn't socializing, I was just working. And after that burnout at the end of 2020, I felt God telling me, enough is enough. Remember that thing I told you, seasons change. The season has changed. All this round-the-clock behavior, it can't work anymore. So I stopped. I stopped working the whole weekend. Obviously, there are times where things will come up and you'll have to get on with it. But for the majority, I stopped working on weekends and I stopped working overnight and then waking up again early in the morning. I stopped doing that. And I actually found that I was way more productive and my business grew drastically more than the times when I was working around the clock. So sometimes, remember in my presentation, I was saying that there are some things that you will do that are actually countercultural, and the world will not understand the way that you behave. But back in 2020/2021, I started resting and sleeping. Just simple things like rest and sleep and seeing my friends. My business changed for the better and my life changed for the better. So I think my takeaways from if you experience a stop in your business, financially, physically, or even emotionally and mentally, I would say find something very mundane to do that can take your mind off of maybe a great issue that you're facing. Number 2 would be rest. It sounds very simple, but rest and just the seemingly mundane things can really just change your mind and also prepare you for your next season. Thank you. Okay, we have a question next to you. Yeah.
Hi,
Hello.
Arami. Thank you so much for this session. It's really inspiring to see young women doing great things.
Thank you.
Yeah. So during your presentation, looking at the SWOT analysis, right, you had mentioned the threats that you encountered, that you saw when you did this analysis. So my question would be, for economic instability, I think you have your business within the country, so it may not, well, it is what it is, right? Supply chain volatility, did you have things that you were importing, and how did you navigate that? The last one would be the big one, copycats. Coming from where you came from, UK, where things are more structured, there are things that you do that you know you will pay dearly for it. How do you navigate that in the Nigerian context? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for picking up on that. So I would start with the economic instability. I mean, we're still in economic instability, let's be honest. Nothing has really changed. In fact, dare I say, it has gotten worse in the last 8+ years that I've been in business. At least pound was maybe 250, 350. Now it's 2,200. So it's 10x in the period of time that I've had a business. You can imagine that that hasn't been easy to navigate at all. But to keep your business going, you have to make some big decisions. One of the things I realized with economic instability is that it's better to realize whether your business is economically viable and profitable before carrying on when you're finding that you're in spaces that have instability. So one of the first things that I did was to cut back and relook some of the ingredients that I was using, that I was importing. You mentioned importing things. We import all of our packaging and some ingredients. Most of our ingredients are local, but there are some things that we have to still import. And I had to start relooking a lot of my costs. So for my suppliers, somehow, some way, I was able to find one of my suppliers. I was able to find their supplier. I found out they were actually a middleman, and they were buying from a bigger supplier. And when I found that out, I realized that one of the things I need to do is I need to save. Financial prudence is so important when you have a business, and especially in areas of economic instability, because when you save and when you reinvest, rather than taking all your profit and spending, you're able to store up for the hard times. And I was able to, I started thinking, okay, all right, you need to save. You know, I mentioned that for the first 2.5 years of Arami, I had a job. So I was working a 9 to 5 and doing Arami at the same time. So that meant that I wasn't taking a salary from Arami. I was dependent on my 9 to 5 salary alone for 2.5 years. And that can compound to a lot of money over 2.5 years if you're not dipping your hand into the business. So that when the economic instability started coming, I was able to go into my savings and start bulk buying things. So the price would come down a little bit because I'm buying in bulk. That was one of the ways I navigated the instability. The second major way was price increase. A lot of customers don't want to hear you tell them that you're increasing your prices. But what's done needs to be done. There is no point having a business that is not making money, unless you're in charity and it's a non-profit, then fine. But if you need to make a profit, then it's so important to constantly review your prices, constantly have a financial person reviewing your cost of production and all those things, so that you can continually tweak where needed. And keeping integrity at the forefront when there is instability is very important as well, because if you overnight increase your prices by 5x, for instance, you have to think about the fact that, but let's say you've done your calculation and you've seen that if you increase your price, if you just double, if you increase it by 2x, you'll be okay. If you increase it by 5x, you might lose customers that you didn't need to lose. And when you increase by a smaller amount, especially compared to your competitors, customers will naturally want to shop with you. So sometimes it means making sure you're making a profit and a margin, but not, I don't want to use the word greedy, but not taking advantage of an unstable environment. Because as much as you're facing economic instability as a business, customers are also facing economic instability in their buying power. So you have to be smart about what you're doing and increase things gradually and with integrity. Then I think the last question you asked was about copycats. So we have experienced a lot of that over the years, and I would say I've dealt with it in two ways. First way is that we have a very good lawyer. So if you are copying our products, we had somebody that wasn't just copying the products, like, oh, because at the end of the day, we're not the only people that make black soap. Let's just use that as an example. But for instance, our black soap, well, one of them is called Onyx Polish. There was somebody that came out with a black soap, and they called it Onyx Polish. And it was in almost the same packaging, white label, silver cover of a transparent jar. It looked like the same thing. Yes, okay, our lawyer just sent them a cease and desist. It's very simple. Cease and desist from what you're doing, otherwise legal action will be taken. And actually following through with legal proceedings, because you mentioned that Nigeria may not be as structured as like the UK, for instance, but in a lot of cases, I've seen it before, the law actually can work here if you are using somebody that is well-versed in the right things. And the second way I've actually dealt with another instance of copycatting that we've had is somebody actually lifted a professional picture of our products and changed our labels. They just edited the labels with Photoshop and used their name on our labels. It was crazy. But again, cease and desist. So get a good lawyer would be my first. Then my second thing is, especially as the owner of the business, you're not a lawyer. Your own is to do with the vision that has been implanted within you. I stopped looking. Honestly, I took my eyes off of what people were doing, and I allowed anybody within my team that needed to handle that to handle it. But me as the founder, I stopped looking. And it's really important as a founder of a business to get quiet. You can't think when there's noise. You cannot come up with new ideas for your business, whether it's product or service, if all you're doing is scrolling through Instagram 24/7, looking at what other brands are doing. It's impossible. So people will send me and be like, oh, Ore, have you seen this? And I'm like, I genuinely haven't seen it because I'm not looking. And why did I stop looking? Because I knew that things like that would irritate me. And secondly, because I felt that if you're copying me, that means I have an advantage. Because that means, number one, I'm doing something right. And number two, you're always waiting for me to do the right thing before you do it. So guess what? Our customers started noticing that brand is always copying you. And they lost trust in that brand. They didn't lose trust in us because we were focused on the only thing that mattered, which was achieving our vision. So copycats will always come. We're not the only brand that has been copycatted. There are far bigger brands in the world. Think of the biggest brand that you know in the world. Definitely a copycat exists of that brand. Or I think they call it nowadays dupes. They exist. So at the end of the day, I think as a founder and as the owner of a business, your duty is to remain in a place where you can receive the inspiration and the creative direction that will take your business to the next stage. And you know, if you're a business that has been a copycat of another business, I will actually leave you with this. You could be far greater than the business you are copying if you lean into what you should be doing. That can leave you more fulfilled and can also lead you into the place where you are meant to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Orelawani. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Very practical, very, very relatable ideas that she shared with us. All right, we're going on to the next masterclass, the second and the final masterclass for today. And I guess that the anticipation is already high from the panel discussion till now. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. You know who I'm about to invite? You know who? All right, you know how I talked with Derry? Okay, please welcome to the stage Aderisola Adeyemi, Diction with Derry. A round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm going to be speaking on the subject of communication. Please, can I have, okay, great. My slides are up. I'm going to be speaking on the subject, Command the Room, Building Executive Presence through Communication. And I have just a couple of minutes, and I can promise you that whatever you're going to learn today is not just going to be beneficial for your career, but in your for your personal development as well, okay? How many of us are career professionals here? Can I see your hands? Great, we have a good number of us here. How many of us are entrepreneurs? Fantastic. So I'm glad that we have a good mix. It doesn't matter whatever side of the spectrum that you fall in, whether you're a career professional or an entrepreneur, you're going to find this session very impactful. All right, please, the next slide. How many of us have come across the concept of executive presence? This is not the first time that you're hearing executive presence. How many of us? Anybody? Okay, I see one, you as well. 2 people, 3 people, 4. All right, fantastic. 5, great. The next slide, please. Oh, great, thank you. Oh, fantastic. So, I like to teach in a very simple, granular way. So when you hear executive presence, I don't want you to think, oh, Darren has come, Diction with Darren has come to speak big grammar. No, don't worry, you're safe, okay? So what is executive presence? It is basically the ability to display confidence and competence in a way that inspires trust in others. You know, people who show up and you can immediately tell that, this person is competent. Have you met anyone like that? They don't have to say too much. Even before they open their mouths to speak, their appearance, their body language, their communication already screams confidence and competence. That, in simple terms, is what executive presence is called. And you can put it to use both as whether you're a career professional or an entrepreneur. Okay, fantastic. So, executive presence is not a measure of performance. It is actually a measure of perception. Now, let me ask this question to drive this point by Sylvia and Hewlett home. How many of us have this colleague, you've met this colleague at work, or a former colleague that you worked with that doesn't do so much, doesn't do half the work, or even a quarter of the work that you do, but then gets all the accolades, all the promotion? Can you relate? Who can relate here? You can relate. My sister, you can relate. Fantastic. Any other person? Do you know those people? They know how to exaggerate what they do. Just one task. They carry out one task, but they know how to. My sister is laughing. She's even shaking her head. I love it. Fantastic. So it is not a measure of performance, because guess what? You can actually be doing so much, yet be seemingly invisible. So it is a measure of perception. Now guess what? There was a quote that I heard some time ago, I think it was 2 years ago at an event, at a conference. The speaker said, perception might not be reality. Please take note. Perception might not be reality, but it is more powerful than reality. I'll say that again. Perception might not be the reality, but it is more powerful than reality. And now that brings us to our food for thought here. So it says, I am leadership material. I know I am competent, but do the key decision makers at work perceive me as such? Remember, we're coming from perception. And we agreed that perception might not be the reality. That person might actually look like they are doing so much, but in reality, they might not. And then you might be there putting in all of the work, the sleepless nights, and all of that, and then it just looks like, Angela, I see her, but I don't really see her. Is she there? Do you understand? But the other person who's not doing half as much as you do is getting all of that recognition. So that's what we're going to be dealing with today. And how many of us has found ourselves in this situation before? Fantastic. I'm so glad that we have people here who can relate. Now, according to the Center for Talent Development, EP accounts for 26% of what it takes to be promoted into leadership positions. Now, again, it's not enough to be competent. You have to be seen as, what did I say? Seen as. The other time when I was speaking, I mentioned that obscurity is, who remembers? Obscurity is what? Expense. I love your energy, my sister. Are we here? Those of us here on the side of the room, are we here? Fantastic. Obscurity is very expensive. So it's not enough to be competent. You actually have to be seen and perceived as competent. So you can take down this question and ruminate on it. Okay, I put in so much work. I do so much at work. I am competent. I'm leadership material. But do the key decision makers at work perceive me as competent? Think on that. Okay, next slide. What are the pillars of executive presence? We have gravitas, and that consists of 67%. It is the weight in your presence and the confidence you exude, even without saying a word. Now, I keep saying that these things, they are inside out. So the way you show up, we're going to talk about how to build all of this in the course of this presentation. Gravitas is 67%, and that basically, gravitas simply means weight. When you show up, does your presence, does it exude confidence? Does your body language, does it show confidence or communicate confidence? And this consists of your paralanguage. Remember, it is not what you say, but how you say what you say. So when you stand at work to deliver a presentation, or when you unmute your mic to speak, how do you present? Your posture. How do you stand? Do you slouch? Do you have your eyes on the floor, on your shoes? Do you fiddle with your hair whilst you're speaking? When you do that, what does it communicate? Nervousness. Or, sorry? Inadequacy. Thank you. Or, look at, incompetent. Do you understand? And it might not actually be true. It might be that you're nervous. But trust me, even when you're not opening your mouth to speak, you are communicating, whether you like it or not. And non-verbal communication is literally more powerful than verbal communication, which is why gravitas carries a whopping 67%. Then we have communication, 28%. Your communication, are you clear? So I'm sure a lot of us know that I'm a diction instructor, but as a diction instructor, I don't preach accents or trying to change your accents. Nah. Originality, be original, okay? If you're Nigerian, you're already Nigerian, it's too late to be British. Oh, well, maybe not, but, right? But in the way that you speak, really, all of us, if you're above 5 years old here, trust me, I think you should just focus on communicating very clearly. That should be the focus. Assertiveness, storytelling, and active listening. Now, let me touch on assertiveness a little. So, assertiveness is basically getting your point across firmly without being aggressive, okay? So it's basically the fine balance between aggression and timidity, where you can pass your message across confidently and say, oh, this is where I draw the line. I do not appreciate being spoken to in this manner, that sort of thing. Storytelling, active listening. Then your appearance, 5%. Your appearance should communicate professionalism, polish, and presence every time you show up. Because again, your appearance does what? It gives you a foot in the door. All right, moving on. Because the focus of this presentation is on communication, we're going to dwell on that the most. Now, the Albert-Mehrabian theory. According to the Albert-Mehrabian theory of communication, our body language, when communicating, remember we already established that whether you're opening your mouth to speak or not, you are communicating. Am I right? Fantastic. So our body language carries a whopping 55%. Again, our posture, our gestures, facial expressions, our appearance. I already spoke about our posture and gesture. So whether you're sitting or standing, you want to ensure that you're not slouching, your head straight, your head up, you're making eye contact, chest out. You're basically confident when you're communicating, okay? Your tone of voice is 28%. Your pace. A lot of us speak fast. If you're guilty, say daring. Literally the entire room. Fantastic. I pardon you, okay? But going forward, I'd appreciate that you work on your pace. You don't want to be too fast, and you do not want to be too slow. You want to maintain a fine balance. Again, communication is not for you as the speaker, it is for your audience. So when you speak too fast, members of your audience would not be able to get a good part of your message, and you don't want that. And when you begin to pick your words, what will happen? They will sleep off, exactly. So you want to find a fine balance. Then your volume. Now, because I already have an amplifier, you can hear me. Everybody here can hear me. But even assuming you did not, we just had maybe 20, 30 people here. There's a difference between talking and speaking. Talking is literally casual speech. Oh, I went to the market, from there, I went to see my friend, from there, I went to the mall. No, there's literally no CTA, no call to action. But speaking is intentional speech. It is strategic communication, envisioning your your audience's reaction, even from the beginning, which includes your choice of words. It includes being intentional about your choice of words, about your choice of words, and even your volume. And it also involves you speaking from your diaphragm. Speaking from your diaphragm. Imagine that I came here and I just said, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dection Wideri, and I'm going to be speaking on executive presence and the importance of effective communication. How would you feel? You'll be bored. Fantastic. So going forward, don't speak from your throat, okay? Be intentional. Speak from your diaphragm. And then your verbal communication, that is the crux of your message, is only 7%. So the non-verbal component of communication carries an entire 93%. All right. So I'm going to be speaking on how to build executive presence using non-verbal cues and then verbal cues, and then we'll round off. Non-verbal cues, your carriage on the outside is a reflection of how you see yourself inside. I hinted on this during the panel session. So you want to have a good image of yourself on the inside first before you project it outward, okay? I already mentioned, say to yourself, you are a person of worth and value. For example, if there's anything I tell my clients, I tell them that you have valuable knowledge to share. Now, I teach elocution, communication, and all of that, but there's something you know. You would agree with me that our panel session was very diverse. We had people from different industries. So these people are experts when it comes to personal finance, when it comes to education, business, running businesses, entrepreneurship, and all of that. Now, they can teach me. It can be a form of value exchange while I teach them communication. It's the same way. So don't show up on any stage uncertain, unsure, oh, how will they receive me? No. As the speaker, you are the transmitter of the energy. So if you don't transmit certainty, trust me, your audience will not believe in you, and you don't want that. Then as a career professional or executive, you have to be intentional about owning the room because you belong there. Whatever room you find yourself, you belong there. I'll tell you a quick story about this client who happened to be the youngest board member in his organization. Now, this is even a guy. So, and that's to let you know that sometimes it's not just women that go through these things. We have, a lot of the time, you have that women go through these things, but sometimes men do as well. So this time, the client said that every time he found himself in the board meeting, he felt out of place because he was the youngest. And then I asked him, but they saw you, they saw your qualifications, they knew you before inviting you on the board, yeah? So please, whenever you get into the room for your next meeting, own it. Somebody say, own it. I have a boss who, and she's here, she would tell us at the time, oh yeah, own it. Own it, literally own the room. That's why the theme of the presentation says, command the room. So don't walk into the room feeling like a fraud or an imposter. You belong there, all right? Now, exude confidence, not arrogance. You are not better than anybody, and nobody is better than you, all right? Mind your posture and your gestures. I already spoke about that. Your pitch, your tone, I spoke about this. Your eye contact. Then mind your appearance. Before stepping out of the house, ask yourself, am I dressed like leadership material? Will anyone take me seriously? And I'll be very honest with you. Years back, I used to be one of those people who would say, oh, but it's not really about what I am putting on. It's about what I have in my head. Please, can you see what I have in my head? Please, can anybody see what I have in my head? No, you can only see my wig. Fantastic. So you don't put yourself in a position of disadvantage, all right? People would see you before they literally get to experience what you have in your head. Like somebody will say, your IQ is not visible, all right? It's not in the cost, but in its presentation, in the presentation of whatever it is that you're putting on. Somebody say, nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. So, and are you going to tell them? Verbal cues, preparation, very important. Know your subject. It's very important that you're speaking on a topic of expertise or experience. I believe that 70% of your work is done literally when you're speaking on a subject of expertise or experience. Then mind your pronunciation, be clear, be original, and follow diction with daring to learn more. Then be concise. Avoid rambling, going to Ojuelegba, then Ilesha, Ayetoro, then back to Lagos. Just when you get, let me give you a trick. There's something called the 5 W's and an H. 5 W's and an H. When you get home or after this session, you can Google it. It helps you to answer questions in a very concise manner. 5 W's and an H. Who can tell me what that's that? Thank you. Somebody please give. Thank you so much. Right, I think I have.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so the 5 W's are what,
thank you,
where, when, why, and the H is how.
How. Thank you. Please put your hands together for her. When you employ that approach, thank you so much. When you employ that approach to answer any question, you can be sure that you've covered the relevant points. Then, avoid or minimize the use of filler words. What are our filler words? Somebody from here. Filler words. It's like, you know, you make one, thank you so much. You utter 3 words, interject with a filler word, 3 words, another filler word. It makes you sound unprepared, and it can be very distracting. As much as possible, minimize the use of filler words. And how do you do that? Intentionally. Replace your filler words with what? A pause. Replace your filler words with a pause. Whenever you find that you're about to use a filler word, you will know. Pause instead. Your speech is more refined when you pace your words and you replace your filler words with a pause. Incorporate periodic pauses into your speech. A lot of us are guilty of speaking really fast. And I've already mentioned that communication is not for us. It is for our audience instead. So when you make a sentence, incorporate or insert a 2-second pause, and then you go on to the next thing you want to say. A lot of us, because we have a lot to say, in our minds, we're literally at the beginning of the statement. Or verbally, we're at the beginning of the sentence, but in our minds, we're already at the end. So please, just take your time, enjoy your speech whenever you speak, okay? Then mind your pace. I already mentioned this. Don't be too fast and don't be too slow. Now, very important. Verbal cues. Be intentional about your choice of words. I think versus I believe. Which is more empowering? I believe. Fantastic. And that's how you want to sound. That's how you want to exude presence in your communication. If, as a thought leader, you're about to sell me a service, and then you come and meet me and you're like, Demi, I think this will work. Will I buy? Never. I will not swipe my card for that, okay? So you have to sound empowering and convincing. Can I ask a question versus I'd like to clarify? The latter is more empowering. Then ensure that your communication is assertive, professional, and respectful. proofread your emails and written communication. Mind your spellings and your punctuation. I hope there's nobody here that writes in shorthand. I just hope. I hope not. You know shorthand? God Almighty. SEE for what? For letter C, and then DNT for... Don't do that. Nobody will take you seriously when you write like that, okay? Then knowing that you're speaking well increases your confidence level. Polish your pronunciation and broaden your vocabulary. You can check us out on YouTube, on Instagram, across our social media platforms at Diction with Daring for resources to help refine your communication and broaden your vocabulary. Remember, you can bloom from obscurity to the limelight, from backstage to the boardroom. It's not just what you say, but how you say it that commands the room. Be intentional. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Any questions? Our time is fast spent already. I can take 1 or 2 questions. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, my friend.
Mike, okay. Thank you so much, Daring.
My pleasure. Your name, please?
Anita.
Anita.
I'm a brand consultant, actually.
You're a?
Brand consultant.
You're a brand consultant. Yeah. I'm happy to meet you.
Okay, so I was going to ask that what if you speak to people, you're trying to send, I'm trying to communicate to you now.
Yes.
And I've been communicating, and I can feel you're not hearing me because you're responding opposites.
Okay.
So how do I balance to communicate better to you so that you can respond how I want you to respond?
Okay.
And so that we can be on the same page.
All right. Can you give me a bit of context? Okay. Have you had people give you this response or this feedback to say they don't understand
let me say,
you?
for instance.
Good.
Okay. Bloom Weekend.
Okay.
And I said to you, I'm Daring, I don't think this flower should be here.
Okay.
And you're saying, Anita, but you're saying something else off what I'm saying. You're trying to explain to me why the flower should be here. But I'm saying this flower can be better here.
Okay.
And I'm trying to explain to you, and then you're like, so you know why I'm asking you is because of the part where you said, don't communicate too fast. You're trying to work on our communication. So I'm asking, how do you manage that second person? It can even happen in the meeting rooms when I'm dealing with clients and all. So you're trying to communicate something and the client is not seeing what you're saying. How do you take a pause? Because again, remember, you need to respond. So
Absolutely.
How do you take a pause so that you don't lose everyone and don't cause a friction?
Okay, so I want to believe that it might be a communication gap. It might be a situation where you can clarify. It's just for you to ask, could you please clarify? Do you mean A, B, C, D? Because you do not want to ruin the entire project. So get specific feedback from the person, and then you can take it up from there. I hope that helps. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the event.
Bloom! Bloom! Amazing. You see, when you enjoy presentations like this, cold will disappear. Cold will become heat. I think that's what some people are feeling before. You're still feeling the cold. But see, you've been going on and you're feeling the cold, and see the way you're just asking the questions. Please, can you celebrate yourself? You've been here all day. You've been learning. You've been networking. You've been getting the best out of this. Now we are closing the masterclass segment. But let me ask you, have you had a good time so far? You've had a good time? Amazing. And we're so glad that you've had a good time. This event is put together by Stanbic IBTC. Once again, can we celebrate Stanbic IBTC for putting together this event? Yes, it's a Bloom Weekend. It's a Bloom Weekend. So, ladies and the few gentlemen who are among us, I'd like to remind us that while we are closing this segment, we still have exhibition booths available, exhibition spaces. Let me give you a glimpse into some of the spaces that we have. So we have the trade fair, that features exhibition from female-owned businesses, from female-owned business owners in food, makeup, skincare, hair care, fashion, children's goods, and so on. So you've been saying, support the woman, support a woman. This is the opportunity to truly support a woman by supporting female-led businesses. So you can go over there and go look at some of the beautiful products that these women and services that these women offer. We also have the village market. The village market is exhibiting raw food stuff by female business owners. So perhaps you're living here and saying, what am I going to cook when I get home? Don't worry. Just go in there and buy your food stuff. Am I speaking to somebody? Aha. So we have that village market where you can get raw food. We also have the relaxation space. Do you remember that the panelists taught us to take care of ourselves? Because everybody is always taking care of, the woman rather, is usually taking care of other people. But the question is, how are we taking care of our own selves? So this is the opportunity to get pampered. Somebody say pampered. This is pamper time. We have the relaxation space for women to get massages, just go in there and go and inspect some of these services. It's time to let down your hair and have a phenomenal time. We also have the Blue Kids Corner. What's happening at the Blue Kids Corner? Just like the name implies, a kids area with games and activities where parents can drop off their kids to be minded as they explore the space. So there's a kids area as well. We have the games area. Let your inner child out. Go and play games. And guess what? There are prizes to be won. So as you play the games, there are prizes to be won. So please play some of these games. Have fun, generally. So we have the exhibition spaces. As we close the event, we are moving on to an all-day full experience, from the relaxation centers to the game centers to the village exhibition area where we can get raw food to trade fair. Ladies, have you had a good time today? Have you had a beautiful time today? Please, can you celebrate the next woman sitting by you? Can you give her a big round of applause? Celebrate her, celebrate her. Amazing. So on behalf of Stanbic IBTC, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming into this segment, the Ladies at the Table Empowerment Series. We've had a wonderful time. We've also had a beautiful masterclass afterwards. And it's time to go into the exhibition spaces and to see the products that women-led businesses are offering. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming. My name is Temi Badru, and it's been such an honor to be the master of ceremonies today. Have a lovely day ahead. Thank you. You're too kind. Exhibition centers, don't forget.